What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I am doing a live stream today with the boys. Sergey of SkynetGen is with us. Marv is having some technical difficulties with. If you're new to the channel, it's nothing new, but he will be joining us hopefully sooner than later. Sergey, how are you doing though?
Good. I mean, it's been a much better week. I mean, it's still, I guess, the same week, but much better, much more relaxed. Just catching up on some movies and ready for next weekend, I guess.
Dude, yeah, that's
Summer is almost over.
I know it's
Easy.
crazy, man. But you know what's nice is even with summer ending, we're still having some good movies come out. Um, we'll talk, of course, about Blink Twice, and then Marv will also be talking about Alien Romulus. Marv absolutely loved Alien Romulus. Right now, his device isn't connecting, so I hope he's seeing this. But
He
yeah,
is.
Marv
He's
said
in
that
the
Alien
chat.
Romulus.
He's
He
in the
said
chat right
Alien
now.
Romulus was like a game changer, like that. It was the movie that he always wanted. Um, so he said that he wants to meet Fede Alvarez and that he is his number one fan. So, oh man, yeah, his device. It's saying his device isn't connected. But yeah, we'll talk about some of the movies. Strange Darling, though, I want to recommend that to everyone right now. I know Sergey, you're going to be watching that tomorrow, but guys, if you like horror thrillers, it's definitely my favorite horror thriller of the year so far. It's incredible. Go into it as blind as possible. It's truly, truly spectacular. Yeah. So, and actually, I just finished filming and editing my review for that, so be on the lookout for that. And then Sergey and we just released on my channel top 10 westerns of all time. That was hard for both of us because we both love the genre. So to try to pick 10 westerns, yeah, it was definitely difficult. We have a bunch of different chats, it looks like. Yeah, I'm seeing Marv. Dude, I hate it. I can see you. I hate that movie. Screw Alien Romulus. 1 second. Get in the live stream, you hack.
Did he like Madam Web? Like,
Marv, you loved Madam Web. Like you said, Madam Web was incredible. All right, let's go to the comment section. Ace Bless, what's up? Ace just finished Mr. Robot for the second time, he was telling me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I need to
rewatch.
rewatch.
I still have to start season 2. I'm slacking.
I think you'll like it. Season two is even better on like rewatch, honestly. Joseph Guerrera is in the house. What's up, Joe? Joe said just saw Alien Romulus, best since original and Aliens. That's fair. I know I'm in the minority. I do like Prometheus and Alien Covenant, but I did enjoy Alien Romulus, and I was very impressed at Fede Alvarez, like just filmmaking skills with really emulating the look and the feel of the original Alien. But there were some things that I had issues with, like the third act. It's funny, the third act, without spoiling anything, the big creature that we see, I thought that was CGI, but I found out that that person was actually like 7 foot. I think he's like 7'5", but like that's a person in a costume. I was like, oh wow. So, but yeah, finally got to watch Long Legs too. It was decent too. Yeah, it seems that I've been seeing a lot of people on Letterboxd just not really digging that movie, and I don't know if it's because of like the hype. I wasn't a part of the hype, so I just thought of it as a good movie. But I, again, Sergey and we talk about this a lot. Like sometimes when a film gets so much praise, like sometimes that's almost like a detraction for it. But I don't know. I thought it was good. Not my favorite horror film. I thought it was good. Ace Blood, yeah, season 2 was so much easier to sit through on second watch. Yeah, because now that you know, like now that you know a lot of the stuff that happens in the later seasons, like it makes sense as to why season 2 is so different than season 1. Andrew Lay, hey y'all. What's up, Andrew? I like Prometheus too. It's a thinker. And I think the third act isn't as strong, but I think that the first two acts are a nice balance of like philosophy, but then also like that big blockbuster scale that like Ridley Scott loves. Oh, look at this. Film Kid is in the house. Good news. I started The Wire last night. Nice. Sergey, have you seen The Wire?
I have not, but I probably would watch it. Like I know Sopranos probably will skip it, but The Wire, I'll give that show a chance at some point.
Yep, The Sopranos is incredible. It's the best thing since sliced bread.
Uh,
Nah, I'm kidding. I respect it a lot. I'm not gonna dunk on that show. That show, if it didn't exist, a lot of the shows I love wouldn't exist, such as Mr. Robot. Ace Blitz heard The Wire is amazing. Yeah, I love The Wire. I think that it's not a show I come back to that much. Like I've only seen it the one time, but it's definitely a show that I really liked. Joseph Guerrero, I missed what your horror movie of the year was. Oh, Strange Darling. Joe, if you get a chance, see it in theaters. It got a wide release on Thursday. The theater I saw it at, there was like 5 people at the 9:30 showing, and it was just. I usually don't look at other people after the movie ends, but like I looked around to see if they were as amazed by it, and they were just like perplexed. They were like, "What did I just experience?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like that movie." That is a lot of my friends call it a Chad movie. Like this is a Chad movie from like the way it's structured to like the moral uh grayness of like the characters to the violence, the mix of like violence and like sex. It's really good. I was telling
okay.
Nicolette, like it's one of those rare films similar like Challengers where it's like if someone were to say like, "Hey, you want to watch this?" like a couple days after watching, I'd be like, "Yeah, let's watch it." Also, everyone, this video is sponsored by Alcohol Removed Wine, Frey Moscato, from California Vineyards. So, you recognize this from last week. And then Rainforest Cafe, Atlantic City.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine if my videos ever do get sponsors? I wonder what it would look like. Be like organic stuff.
Yeah.
Look at that. As some of you might know, I don't drink, so when I want to try to fit in, such as last week when we did an Airbnb weekend, I just get alcoholic stuff. Let's see what this hack problem Marv's thinking. Marv says, I love Madam Web. He said Alien Romulus is the best movie of the year, and that he wants to pick it up on 4K. Nice.
I mean,
Marv,
I
this is amazing.
enjoyed the movie. I don't think I'd be owning it on physical media though.
I don't think so either, but I enjoyed it. We have a lot of comments. Holy cow. Godzilla, The Wire is amazing. Hello, guys. Oh, side note, Marv, his device is still not connected. Marv, buddy, what are you doing? I think it's because he's not using an iPhone. He's using his other phone. Just Rare Wire Classic Series. Yeah. Ace Blitz, I heard the season about the school is very eye-opening. I know it's season 4. Yeah, that season really gave me some perspective on like the school system, specifically like public schools in the city. Like really good. Really good. Film Kit, I went to go see Coraline for its 15th anniversary today. Great movie, and the visuals were absolutely stunning.
Is that the new release?
Yeah, but it wasn't included for A-list, so that's why I didn't bother. But I like the movie. Yeah, have you seen it, Sorga?
Yeah, it's been a while, but I would want to see it in 3D. Like I'm curious how that would look. I wish it was a part of A-list though.
I know it's just like Babadook. Like I would love to see the Babadook in theaters, but it's not included with A-list.
Hot Fuzz, was that included in the A-list?
Well, Shaun of the Dead's going to be.
Okay.
Shaun of the Dead's going to be
Okay.
included. It stinks. I'm on the fence on if I want to like I want to see it in Dolby, but then at the same time, like I'm a bit behind with like new releases, so it's like I still need to see the Crow remake, Borderlands, and then Sing Sing. Sing Sing I'm probably gonna watch over those other two. But it's like one of those things where I'm like, okay, Sing Sing or Shaun of the Dead. It's like I own Shaun of the Dead, so that makes me even more conflicted. Where I'm like, but I haven't experienced it in theaters, so first world problems, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Bootzilla season 4 is tremendous and probably the best in the series. Someone argue season 3 or even 1. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I feel like The Wire, it's similar to The Sopranos, where there's no consensus as to which is the best season. Versus other shows, you'll see like the general consensus is that like, oh, this is the best season of like this show. Private chat. Marv says, read my comments about how Alien Romulus is amazing. All right. Marv, my tablet won't charge when is Interstellar re-release? Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz are in Dolby. Those are two of the best breast movies ever. Breast movies ever. I think Marv had a couple drinks. I'm kidding. All right. So Interstellar, I believe it's getting re-released in November. I think originally it was going to be October, but I think it's November now. Whiplash is actually
Oh,
getting a re-release.
these are all Dolby releases, right?
I don't think Whiplash. If I'm being honest, I don't think Whiplash
Come
is,
on.
unfortunately. But you know something? I'm okay with that because I saw that 10 years ago in theaters in a small theater in the very, very back of the theater, and it was still amazing. Bootzilla also says, I saw Romulus today and it was okay. I hated the aliens line, and thanks for the like on Letterboxd. Chad. Dude, of course. Yeah, we're on the same page. Actually, Sergey is on the same page too. Like that line, like
Oh gosh.
that actor was amazing, I thought. Like I thought he did an incredible job, but like the way he was directed to deliver that line, it was like, first of all, the line didn't need to be there. Second of all, like of all ways to deliver it, like
Yeah. It was delivered better in the Harry Potter movies.
that's funny.
They do say it.
You're not wrong. Film Kid. I watched Incoming, which was a movie that came out yesterday on Netflix. It's a teen party film. It's not necessarily a great movie, but it's fun. Oh, nice. I haven't heard of that one actually. Sergey, have you heard of Incoming?
No, not familiar.
I've been a bit behind on Netflix releases, to be honest. Like because I've been so focused on like the theater releases, I haven't watched as many streaming movies other than like some Indian cinema films, such as like Abasham. But besides that, nothing really. Just to correct, LOL. As you guys can tell, Marv, like you guys gotta understand, Marv has a shirt that says Alien Romulus is like a 26 out of 5. Like he gave this movie the highest praise possible. Like he turned to me. We saw it in theaters together, right? And when it ended, he literally said that it changed his life. And then he said, like, dude, Chad, I don't even want to do Airbnb weekend, like, because my weekend is not going to be touched by this. I love Whiplash. Oh, I'm glad you've seen it, Joseph Guerrero.
It's
I would also
probably like,
recommend the director's other films. La La Land. I like First Man quite a bit, and then we can't forget about Babylon. Babylon's the stepchild. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it's there and it's pretty good.
yeah, Whiplash is probably in my top 10 of all time.
Really,
Yeah,
it's
love
top
that film.
250 for me. It is. It really is incredible. Like, and it gets better with each viewing. Why are you rushing or where are you dragging? Film Kid. What theaters are releasing Whiplash and Interstellar? Whiplash is my favorite movie of all time. Interstellar is my favorite known. Love hearing that. So Sorg and I, we both have AMC A list. So like, I know they're both playing in AMC theaters. I'm not sure about like Cinemark or Regal theaters though, to be honest. I'm going to assume, I'm going to go on a limb and say that it will be released in those theaters as well.
Where did you see Alien Romulus? Was that Cinemark or Regal?
It was neither. It was a movie tavern.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, speaking of Alien Romulus, when I went to the movies yesterday, I went to ask about the popcorn bucket, and
I didn't
get
see.
this, they said that they're still out of stock. I was like, oh,
Wow.
when are you guys gonna be back in stock? And they're like, oh, they were sold out by pre-sale. We're probably not gonna get them back. And I was just thinking in my mind, I'm like, you want to talk about like business. Like
Yeah.
I am by no means a business major, but it's like, why on God's green earth would you want to stop selling things if
Mm,
it's literally overselling? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't understand that. I really don't. Like I know that some people might be like, oh well, it's to make it like exclusive and
yeah.
limited, but it's like if it's sold out by the pre-sales and so the average person can't even buy it, it's like what's the point then?
I'm so glad it sold out 20 minutes into when I arrived at the theater, but as
Oh
soon as the
wow.
movie ended, I went over to another movie theater and they had another one, so glad I picked it up.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Like that's one of those buckets where I'm like, it's pretty cool
It's
collectible.
very difficult to remove it from the bucket though.
Oh really?
Yeah. But Cinemark had two other ones. They had obviously the alien head, but they also had a glow in the dark or like a
Mm.
tube. So they did have two exclusives, and I think Regal had like the better skull of the Xenomorph. But I still think
Speaking of glow in the dark, that reminded me of Transpotting, and I am glad that like you're fine with just the Blu-ray that I sold you because, dude, I was literally looking at my physical media collection today. It is pretty bad how Transpotting, like how much it sticks out. Like like I love that movie. It's one of my favorite films of all time, but it's like the packaging for that is just it's god awful. It might be worse than Citizen Kane,
mm,
4K physical media. I'm saying the physical media, guys. I'm not saying Citizen Kane. That's also one of my favorite films of all time. But like first world physical media problems.
does it glow in the dark?
It does, which is cool.
So
But
I'll be able to find it if I break in.
yes. Oh, I mean, it sticks out. Like if these are all the discs, like I mean, all the cases, like it sticks out like this. It's like Pinocchio's nose or something. Like it's just weird. Like I don't know who designed that. I don't know who was like this would be a good idea to design it like this. So flimsy. Oh, we're down a lot of comments. Ace Plus, one of my friends just finished Hannibal. He said it's one of the best films he's ever seen, and the season 2 finale is the second best episode he's ever seen. I mean, he's not wrong. I was telling Sergey before the stream, like I'm planning to do my usual rewatch of Hannibal, the TV show, in October, and then Halloween watch Silence of the Lambs. It's a show that, yeah, I love. I really do. Right now, I'm watching Twin Peaks, or rewatching, I should say, and I know in my live streams I've talked about method viewing. I was method viewing that. I got vegan donuts. I had vegan donuts and coffee and while watching Twin Peaks. And I know, Sergey, you haven't seen the show, but Twin Peaks, like the main character is obsessed with like donuts and he's obsessed with like coffee. So I was like, well, what better way to watch the show than with vegan donuts and then, of course, coffee. That's also why I'm like awake because I actually took a nap today. So I'm not going to, like, normally around this time I'd start having a Sleepy Joe moment, but that's why I'm like more energetic. Bootzilla, it's like they held a gun to his head and forced him to say that line, especially the way he said it. Yeah.
It's more like he forgot the line and he's like, "Oh wait, yeah, there's another word."
And he's probably like, do I really want to say this line? Like, is this line, is it worth saying?
Is it PG-13? Is it rated R? Can we say it?
Bootzilla, they were also releasing the Matrix 25th anniversary on September 19th. And that also isn't included with A-List, which is a shame. Which is weird because 5 years ago I saw The Matrix in Dolby and it was included with A-List. Film Kid, I saw Babylon recently. It's raunchy during some moments, but it was a lot better than I was expecting. Oh yeah, it's our generation's Boogie Nights, except in the 1920s. I mean that. I mean that. I mean that in the best way possible. Like Boogie Nights is one of my favorite films of all time, and Babylon was one of my favorite films of what was it, 2022. I mean, that score was you and I, Sergey. I know we always talk about this, but that score for Babylon, I think it should have won over the score for what was it? All Quiet on the Western Front, where
And
it's like it's so annoying.
guess who does the score for The Crow?
That same composer.
Yep.
Is it just as annoying?
No, you just don't remember it at all.
Uh, I
Except
guess
the
that's
opera
worse,
house.
though. I guess
The
that's
opera house,
arguably worse.
the opera house scene, it is a little bit more memorable. That's probably the best part of the movie.
I'll be on the lookout for it. I don't have high expectations for The Crow. Look at this, Andrew Lay. What was that zero alcohol sponsor you're having? I love an occasional drink until I grew allergic to it last year. So it is alcohol removed Frey. Let's get it up close. And it's a Moscato from California Vineyards. Can't wait for me to get demonetized because of my sponsoring something that I don't have a sponsor for. Yeah, but honestly, like I saw this in the supermarket one time and I was like, oh, all right, let me try this. Like, I don't drink, so let me try this, and it's not bad. Not bad at all. I had Airbnb weekend. I had, of course, what's it called? Non-alcoholic beer, and I think I've kind of realized like I'm just not a beer person. Like it's okay. Guinness though, the Guinness non-alcoholic one I think is actually pretty good though.
Kind of missing the alcohol.
Exactly, Sergey. Film Kit. I'm going to go see both those. I don't even care if those are the only two movies I can see for the rest of the year in theaters. I'm willing to do that. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'm hoping we get a re-release of American Beauty or Being John Malkovich or Fight Club. Like these are films that during the anniversary years in the past, they haven't gotten re-releases. So I'm hoping that one of those films we get to. I really do hope that. Oh, Ace Paulettes. Also, how far are you on Sons of Anarchy now? So I'm on season 5, episode 2. I am ahead of where I originally thought I was going to be. Like, I have the goal of watching one season per month. So season 4, I was planning to finish in August. So I've already finished it. So I've actually started another show called Banshee. And Banshee takes place in Pennsylvania. One of my good friends, Jeff Reese, shout out to you, Jeff, if you're watching. He recommended the show to me because I showed him recently The Raid 2. And it just so happened that he was watching Banshee, and he was like, oh, like Banshee, it looks like the action scenes are kind of similar to The Raid 2. And I was like, oh, cool. So he was really pushing for me to watch it. So I started it, and Banshee's not bad. Like, so far, it's all right. I think Homelander, the actor that plays Homelander in The Boys, he's in it. He's really good. You can definitely tell watching Banshee that the producers on Amazon watched that show and were like, okay, this would be the guy we need to cast in Homelander. So I don't know, Sergey, if you would like Banshee.
I remember I saw like the first episode way back when it came out. I think it was 2016, I think.
Yeah.
And I totally forgot about the show. Never continued. It was what, a Cinemax show, I think.
Yeah. The first episode, yeah, but it was nothing really special. It wasn't until like I'm on episode, I think 5. It wasn't until episode 3 where I was like, okay, it's starting to get going. But yeah, Sons of Anarchy, I should be done. I'm going to try to set the goal to be done by October 1st because that's going to be put on the back burner if I don't finish it, because October it's going to be only Hannibal. And I'm also watching, watching Breaking Bad with my wife, as well as Still Deep. And then Twin Peaks, as I mentioned earlier, I started rewatching it. Joseph Guerrero, I gave Aliens Romulus an 8 out of 10 because some scenes were outlandish, like acid and gravity scene and elevator scene. The sound design was spot on, though, with the scenes that had no sound at all in space. Yeah, I thought the sound design was actually pretty good in it. Like, it definitely felt like a film that really understood what the original Alien was like going for until Alien Romulus went off the rails a bit. Oh, wait, let me check private chat. Marv. Chad, ask Sergey that question from earlier about Fox filmography. I want his. Let's talk about all three and open up for questions. Marv, we need you in here, buddy. We need you in here. All right, we have a lot of comments. Can't articulate. What is up, dude? Can't articulate. Can't articulate. Also saw guys. Strange Darling. I saw his Letterboxd review. Pretty spot on. So yeah, that's another person that you guys could go based off of that. Also loved that film that I recommended earlier. Film Kit, I tried this Beetlejuice haunted apple flavor of Fanta. If you find it, I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, Beetlejuice is really up in the ante with their product placement. And like, you know, I'm curious how that's going to be. Like that movie. I hope it's good.
Do you like the original?
Yes, I do. It took me a second viewing to like appreciate it, but do you like it?
Oh yeah, I own it on 4K.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you excited for the sequel or?
It looks pretty good. It's not gonna be as good as the original. Doesn't seem like it, but I just want to have some fun with it.
And Michael Keaton, I feel like doesn't. Never mind. I was going to say Michael Keaton doesn't really do movies unless his heart's in it. But
Then you
then I
remember.
realized he did the Flash, and I was like,
He
oh
is the
yeah,
best part of the Flash. So I don't
oh
know.
gosh, yeah, that movie was bad. Just where I've heard the new Crow movie is so bad. Yeah, that's what Sergey was saying earlier. I still want to give it a chance because I heard that it's not good, but I heard that it at least tries to do something different. So I'm like, maybe I'll like it, maybe. But I'm not the biggest fan of the director. Like I thought the director, like Snow White and the Huntsman, I thought that was a good example of a movie that tried to do something different, but I just thought that it was a very uneven movie.
And then he did Ghost in the Shell, the live action film.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that movie, that was disappointing. Just Guerrera. OMG, you're gonna hate me, but I've never seen Fight Club. LOL. Everyone talks about it. I would highly recommend you watch Fight Club. Let me actually see if it's on anything. Let me see. Because that is a great movie, and I think that it gets better with each viewing. Like it's on Hulu right now, but I think Fight Club is it's great in terms of its like satire. And as you get older, you pick up on like the critique of like, for example, like toxic masculinity, consumerism. The consumerism in particular, it's so funny with how it critiques it. But it's also just kind of hilarious how much people misinterpret that film. Like they're like, oh, it's like it's glamorizing violence, or it's glamorizing Tyler Durden. And it's like it's not. Like if you actually pay attention to the film and like with what it's showing, then you'll see that it's not doing that at all. Sergey, are you a fan of Fight Club? I don't think we've ever talked about it, honestly.
Yeah, I like it. I haven't seen it in a very long time, but I do have the Blu-ray. I guess whenever the next anniversary comes up, maybe I should watch it again.
And do you remember the Blu-ray menu?
I don't actually.
It is the best Blu-ray menu I have ever seen in my life.
And Blu-ray
So,
menus are not that good.
but this one is amazing. Like, so you put the disc in, and then it goes to the menu of "Never Been Kissed," and at first you're like, "Wait a minute, Never Been Kissed? Like, this is the Blu-ray for Fight Club. Why is it going to this?" And you start seeing like it flicker, and then all of a sudden you see like the Fight Club menu. It's going in line with like all the consumerism and like Tyler Durden messing with the projector and like the movie, which is what the main menu is doing to us as audiences. So it's a brilliant menu. It really is. Oh, such a great movie. Ace Bloods. I've heard Banshee is amazing. It's not amazing yet, but my friend Jeff is on season 4, and he said that like it's a completely different show by season 3 and 4, and that's when it like really, really gets good. So I'm hoping I get to that point. Film Kid, speaking of Fight Club, I watched it recently. Absolutely loved it. The twist messed with my mind a good amount, but one of the greatest movie twists ever. Yeah, I mean it's like The Sixth Sense. It's such a great twist that it's pretty much embedded into pop culture to the point where even if you haven't seen the film, you know it, which I do think is kind of a shame because I think that if you were to watch either of those two films in 1999, it would have been so surprising, like when those twists hit you. So that's why, like something like The Usual Suspects, I'm glad that it's not as embedded into pop culture because when I saw that for the first time, it wasn't spoiled for me. Hey, Sergey, have you seen The Usual Suspects?
Yeah, also own it on Blu-ray.
Great success. I love that film. Oh wait, before I get to the other comments, Marv has 11 private chats. I think it's going to be about Alien Romulus and how amazing it is.
Yes.
Marv says I can't get in. The Flash is the worst movie last year. When I told you I hated it, you said it was good. I never said it was good. Sergey and I literally saw it together, and literally I was of the three of us that saw it, I was literally the only person that was like not feeling it. Alien Romulus, Marv says it's the best movie of the year. He has Madam Web is number 1. Number 2 is Alien Romulus. Interesting. I thought Alien Romulus was his number 1. He said, "Oh, he's got Sergey. I always say you have hot takes. He has really big hot takes." He says, "Dune Part 2 is the worst movie last year. I mean, this year. Twisters is the second. Bad Boys 4. Argyle. You know what? Argyle, I'll agree with him about. Argyle, I'll say is up there. And then he has Furioso as his top 10 worst of this year. Wow, this is Marv's got some hot takes. Marv, you got to try to connect, buddy, to defend yourself.
He's got bigger hot takes than Deep Focus Lens.
Bootzilla Banshee is awesome. I watched that one in real time. 2013 and 2016. Yeah, I think is when it aired. And I don't know why I didn't hear about it when it came out, because like it takes place in PA. So you would think that, I don't know, you would think that I would have heard about it during that time. Andrew Lay, I didn't like Babylon at all. Too long, all over the place, and that half a second of Avatar showing up at the end destroyed 3 hours of partying for me. Avatar was my most hated to Lord of the Rings. Oh, this is a hot take right here. Not about Babylon. Babylon, I would say that Sergey and I are in the minority because it's a pretty divisive film. But in regards to Avatar being the most hated, I don't know. I like Avatar. I do like part 1 and 2, and I'm excited for 3. Joseph Guerrero says, "Same. I'm going with The Sound Mind for Beetlejuice 2." I think that's the best way to experience that film, because any inclination to try to compare to the first one, like we already know that most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, sequels pale in comparison. So I'm just expecting a fun time. Oh, Ace Palette, that's funny. We're breaking the first rule of Fight Club right now. I absolutely love the original Ghost in the Shell. One of my favorite anime movies of all time. Probably going to pick up the 4K soon. Yeah, I like Ghost in the Shell. Sergey, if I'm not mistaken, you thought it was just okay, right?
I thought it was okay, but I really love the world building and the score, and that's what always like brings me back to it. Last year was actually like the best time to pick it up on 4K because it was like dirt cheap, $8.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah,
I should pick that up on
the
4K.
sequel wasn't as good.
I didn't even realize there was a sequel.
Mhm.
Oh wow. I probably won't watch the sequel, to be honest. Like
Nah, you're not missing much.
the first one, it seems like it stands on its own like really
Yeah.
well. Oh, Andrew Lay's back in good standards. Should have won best score though, to be honest. Yeah, All Quiet on the Western Front. Like I understand to an extent why it won other Oscars, but that one was just like, what are we doing here, guys? Like seriously. Film kid, when I popped in the Blu-ray to Fight Club, I was genuinely scared that I had the wrong disc. This is what I love about physical media, though. Like when they add those like nuances, like the girl with dragon tattoo. I love how the DVD it looks like a pirated disc. Like little things like that, I just think are so clever. Marv is getting called out by Joseph Guerrero. Marv joined the chat. Dude, this is what I'm saying. Marv, where are you, buddy? We need you. We need you to talk about your love for Alien Romulus. I should actually rename this live stream Marv Loves Alien Romulus. Marv, if you don't join the chat, and we'll say, let's see, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to have to change it to Alien Romulus is Marv Yola's favorite movie of all time. And that it changed your life. That you want to create a new religion, Romulus religion. Like how there, you know how there's Judaism because of the Big Lebowski. You want to create Romulism. There it is. Coined this term.
I think Star Trek might have already claimed that one. Maybe.
Oh, that's a good point. Didn't Star Trek originally have that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Jessica Guerrera, Madam Web. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why Marv has that as one of his favorite movies of all time either. I think it's because Dakota Johnson's in it, I think. Could be
Probably.
wrong. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. Marv said he especially loves the editing of that movie. If I'm not mistaken, he said that should be taught in film classes, like in terms of editing, and not The Godfather. I had an aneurysm, so I don't really remember the rest of the conversation though. Just a Guerrero awful. Oh, I really do hope Marv can actually get in. Marv, use your phone or use something. Use a razor phone. Film kid. My favorite movie of the year is Furiosa. Sergey, what's your favorite movie so far of the year?
Challengers.
Same.
But Furiosa is not far behind. Dune Part 2 also is right there.
It's kind of a shame that Challengers is probably going to get like maybe one or two Oscars, like nominations, if that. Because it came out too early, I think. I think that if that movie came out in the next couple months, I feel like it'd be more on more people's radar for like, oh yeah, what are we going to award it? But I'm hoping it at least gets like a original score nomination.
And editing, possibly.
I part of me wants that to happen. If I was a member, I would nominate it for that. But I think that there's going to be other films that are going to be coming out like that are more like Oscar bait ones, and I think that those are going to be the ones that are going to be on voters' minds. So I don't think it will, unfortunately. But I hope I'm wrong. Disagree. Okay, he's being silly. Yeah, Marv is a very silly individual, especially when he talks about Madam Web. Like he said that he watched that movie for a week straight. Like that was the only movie he saw. Like Madam Web, it was Madam Web week, and then he watched Not Another Church Movie the following week. So, and then he said the one thing that really struck me was Marv said Hereditary was terrible. I was like, Marv, get in the chat, buddy. Marv, come on. Joseph Guerrero, no way Dune 2 is worst movie of the year. Hey, it's not my words. I love Dune 2. I think Dune Part 2 is really good. It just Marv, just I don't know. Like we got to check in on him. Can't articulate. Babylon, one of the best 3-hour films ever for me. Flies by. Bootzilla, wow, there were some hot takes in here tonight. I know I always call Sergey hot take Sergey, but I'm gonna have to call Marv hot take Marv.
It's not 3 a.m. yet, so there's no hot takes from me.
That's when it kicks in.
Yeah.
It's got to be a late night watch. Film kit. I picked up the Blu-ray for the Bike Riders. That's a really good looking film. I thought it was just okay. Sergey, you gonna be watching the Bike Riders?
Eventually, I missed that in theaters. I don't know. Didn't seem really interested, but maybe I'll check it out.
It's the Goodfellas of Bike Rider movies. I think you'll like it.
Where's your Great Fellow shirt?
I know. I should have been wearing that. I wasn't sure that Marv can make it tonight. Let me text off the side. Marv, join the chat by any means necessary.
You might have to pick him up.
You hack fraud. All right. See if that does the trick. Can't articulate. I'm watching Twin Peaks too. It's all right. Nothing spectacular for me so far. I'm on season 2. Oh, so you didn't like season 1? Season 1, I love. Season 2 on rewatch. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to watch the first 9 episodes and then the last 2 episodes, and then I'll watch all of Twin Peaks: The Return. Film Kid, I like the sequel, but it's nowhere near the same level as the first. I can articulate. Yeah, I agree with Marv. Ramos is the best sci-fi movie since 2001: A Space Odyssey. Yeah, I really think that like that movie should be taught in not. You know what? We'll take it a step further. I think Alien Ramos it should be taught not only in like film classes. I just think it should be taught in general. Like I think instead of like economics or like math or like history, they should just have Alien Romulus class, like 4 or 5 classes a day. Like it's an art. And Marv understands that. It's family in many ways.
Have you seen the top 4 Letterboxd picks for Ridley Scott and Fede Alvarez?
No, what are they?
Oh, 2001: A Space Odyssey was Ridley Scott's pick, as well as the original Star Wars, and that's the whole reason Alien exists is because of that movie.
True.
He actually mentioned Blade Runner. I don't know why he picked his own movie.
Because it's incredible. I like if I directed Blade Runner, I'd say Blade Runner. like I'd be very proud of that.
He mentioned one other movie, and I added it to my watch list. It's called Quest for Fire. Seems very interesting, so I'll probably check it out soon.
I've heard that was good. I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard that one was good.
Of course,
But
Fede Alvarez picked Alien.
he loves that movie. I mean, Alien's great.
Of course, he it was like he was fanboying when he was making, Romulus. So
When I saw Alien like in theaters for the re-release, afterwards they did a Q&A. It was Fede Alvarez and Ridley Scott, and I don't know, watching that interview with him like talking to Ridley Scott, I don't know. I was like, I think that at the very least, Alien Romulus will be entertaining because it seems like he really, really has a lot of respect for it. So, and I was happy to see that at least, to an extent, like the style of the original Alien was kind of preserved.
do you think they're gonna make more? I mean, obviously, it seems like they should because it was a financial success. But
I think they will. I think now that especially like it's technically owned by Disney, I think they will. I just don't know if they're still going to use Fede Alvarez or if they're going to, use a different director.
I just
In
don't see
which case,
where you go from here because it's the same story. It's like you got to change up the formula at this point.
the problem though with franchise films is that if you change the formula too much, you might lose the fans. It's like the equivalent of like, for example, if you go into a Burger King and let's say all of a sudden instead of just having like off to the side like a plant-based burger, you just have all the burgers be plant-based. Well, you're going to lose a lot of customers. Like you change the formula, but so it's a balancing act because as we saw with Star Wars, like when Last Jedi really messed with the formula, it was like a lot of people did not like it at all.
Well, they were still having that be canon, whereas here they're kind of rebooting it. See, they should just start fresh and just have nothing to do with the original. Uh,
Well, they weren't trying to. I don't think Alien Romulus. All jokes aside, I don't think Alien Romulus was trying to necessarily reboot it. Like, because it does feel like something that they were trying to, springboard like in the middle of like Aliens. Um,
and I don't think
but
that they bridged both movies too well.
well, because it's part of like a series. So I think if I had to guess, I would say they're probably going to try to do like two more movies, and with the hopes of that by the third one, I'm gonna throw out a prediction. If they do end up making another two of them, I'm gonna predict that we're gonna see a de-aged Sigourney Weaver by
Oh
the third one.
God.
I'm calling it now. You heard it here first on this live stream,
Oh,
guys. I'm calling it now.
see, that's when I become Marv and I end up hating it.
Marv loved Alien Romulus. What are you talking about? Marv said that it changed his life as well as that it changed the life of other people. When we had Airbnb weekend, he literally made shirts that said Alien Romulus is the greatest movie ever, and he literally was selling them on the boardwalk. Never seen anything like it. Bootzilla, Dune, Furiosa, and Kill are my top three so far this year. I liked Kill. Can't wait to see the American remake butcher everything that made the original Kill. I can't even believe I'm calling it the original Kill because it came out 2 months ago. Not even, but here we are. Film kit. I'm trying to knock out Challenger. Just need to convince my parents. That would be an interesting film to watch with your parents. I must say
I
that
don't know
would be
about
yeah, that'd be interesting.
that. That would be
A good doubleheader though. Challengers, Y tu mama también, especially with parents.
definitely.
Bootzilla since 2001. Wow. Okay. Yeah, Bootzilla. You gotta understand, like, just, it's outstanding. See, this is why I'm glad that I have my until the end of the year. Why I'm glad that I have my 2024 films ranked like private because people go on Letterboxd, they would see, oh, it's number like 32 on my list. Like, it's not like even in top 10. Angela, yeah, I hate the Avatar franchise so much. Literally cheered when the humans came back to colonize Pandora. Lord of the Rings couldn't even keep me awake, hence higher on my hate list than Avatar.
Wow.
Dang. That's a hot take.
I wonder what his favorite fantasy film is of all time.
I am curious. Angela, comment down below. I'll get to the comment eventually. We still have a bunch of comments. Group chat is popping tonight. And of course, Marv's missing all this. Ace Plus, Marv's least favorite movie of all time is Hereditary. See? Yeah, I don't understand why Marv doesn't like Hereditary.
But he loves The Lighthouse, remember?
Yeah, he does. It's crazy. His love for Lighthouse is just like he said that he wants to make a Lighthouse too, and that he wants to meet Robert Eggers. He even told me, he said that Robert Eggers is like one of those directors that he would love to meet because he thinks that they would get along really well. Film Kid, I watched Babel on my phone. It may not be the greatest screen visual experience, but I was fully locked in. Wait until you watch it on like a 50 to 75-inch TV. Like you'll be even more engaged, I promise.
You should watch a Christopher Nolan movie on your phone.
Just the way Nolan likes it. Just Guerrero, that's bad, Ace. LOL. Hereditary Midsummer, so good. Yeah. Here might be a hot take, but Lost is my favorite all-time TV series. Sergey is the person to talk about Lost. I haven't seen it yet.
I've seen it twice, and I don't like the last couple of seasons, but the first 4 are really good. It's a show that builds up a lot, and it's got a lot of great ideas, and then it just doesn't know what to do with them, unfortunately. J.J. Abrams for you.
Yep. I mean, yeah, we saw Star Wars 9.
Not his fault completely, but yeah.
Nah, that trilogy is going to be studied for years to come. That's for sure.
See, in like 10 years, when they have like the next generation of Star Wars fans, I'm curious if people are generally going to love the sequel trilogy.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, look at the prequels. Like our generation, like loves the prequels. They're like, it's misunderstood, and I'm like,
well, I like it. I know you don't really care for it.
No, I don't. I think the ideas are there, which is even more frustrating because I think on paper, I think Attack of the Clones could be the best, but in execution, it's the worst. I really liked that idea of Obi-Wan trying to, figure out this mystery of like what's going on and how to go about it. But like, even that planet, just the way that it looked and everything, it looked way too digital. And like when I rewatched it now that I have a lot more film knowledge, I was like, oh gosh, like it's like that early shot digitally look, and I'm like, ugh. And like the scene in space where they're trying to avoid like the asteroids, I was like, oh gosh, like it was just like a visual eyesore. But Bootzilla, is Tony Scott a better director than Ridley? I'm gonna say no, but I like Tony Scott. R.I.P. I think he was a pretty good director. Sorry, what's your take on this?
What movies did he do again?
So Tony Scott, he did like Unstoppable. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Crimson Tide, True Romance.
Did he do Top Gun? Or?
Yes, your favorite movie of all time. Sergey loves Top Gun.
No. I mean, I liked Enemy of the State.
Yeah, he did Enemy of the State. Yeah, he did a bunch of movies. Oh, Deja Vu with Denzel Washington. He did that. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Actually, I shouldn't say that movie's a lot of fun. Oh, Marv's trying to get in. Let's see. Can he do it?
Nope, you got to kick him out.
Can we do it, Marv? Let's do it. Oh, we all know that if Marv actually is able to connect that, he's going to have a lot to say. Ace Plus, her loss is great in the beginning. That's what I heard too. Film Kid Sergey, what's your letterbox? Also, sorry if I spelled your name wrong. So, Film Kid, I have in the description, like my video details, I have Sergey's letterbox as well as Marv's. Just where I own the special Blu-ray collector set of Lost. Oh, nice! Cool. I didn't know you were a physical media collector as well. That's awesome.
I think that's the pyramid little thing. I think it's pretty hard to get now.
Oh, I'm sure. That seemed like it was a like a collector's edition type thing.
Yeah.
Marv, join the stream. Otherwise, I will tell everyone about your love for. Oh, which one was it that he loved? There was one that he loved. I was just like, really? He loved this one. Trying to think. Oh, now I remember. For Requiem for a Dream and Darren Aronofsky.
Oh yeah, Mother. You forgot. Also one of his favorite.
Oh yeah. I forgot he loves Mother. He said Darren Aronofsky that he'd be best friends with Darren Aronofsky as well, and I was like, that's good. Film kid. I went to go see Coin at a Regal Theater, and I saw the two Beetlejuice popcorn buckets. When I go see Beetlejuice, I'll pick one up. Hopefully, it does seem like a very unique popcorn bucket. Let's see, Bootzilla. I was thinking after seeing what they did to Ramos that they were going to do de-aging with Sunori. We were thinking like, please no. I don't want it to happen. I don't think anybody wants it to happen, but I 100% can see that in the future, where it's like I could see, and I'm hoping not that this is going to happen, but I'm hoping that studios aren't watching this. They're like, yeah, this is a good idea, but I can see the third movie ending where it's like, we have somebody that you want to meet, and then the camera's just like panning to like Ripley and cryo sleep, and it's like Sigourney Weaver like de-aged, and it's like, oh gosh.
The recreation of one character was not all that good. Like
That
you noticed it immediately.
I was taken out immediately. Like I thought
Yep.
the first half of Alien Romulus was like 4 out of 5 for me. As soon as that happens, like when that character showed up and it was de-aged, I was like, oh no. Like I just immediately took me out.
Now you know how I feel about the Irishman.
Hey, I still defend the Irishman. I like the Irishman quite a
Like
bit.
it's still what is it? Rogue One. It's not as noticeable, but here it was.
Wow,
No,
that
it
movie,
wasn't as noticeable for me.
Peter Kushner, like his staging, I was like, oof. No, the Irishman. There's only one scene in that film where I was like, and that's when Robert De Niro is trying to kick the person, and it's like he's supposed to be in his 40s, but the way he's kicking is like in his 80s.
When he's driving the truck, I think it was a milk truck or something. I that was very noticeable for me.
Really? Because you don't
Yeah,
even see his like legs or anything.
yeah, you just see his face.
Well, I think his face. I don't even think it's his face necessarily. I think it's the fact that his eyes look different because it's not his
Okay.
actual
Like
color.
polar
But
express eyes.
I'm pretty sure that I could be wrong here. I should watch the bonus features, but I'm pretty sure they used like lens, like just a different lens. Could be wrong. I am planning to rewatch The Irishman soon, though. So if I watch the Criterion bonus features, I'll get back to everyone on what it was. Film kid, what I meant by trying to convince my parents for challenge, I was trying to convince me to watch by myself. I don't think they would want to watch it. Yeah, I get that. Film kid, I watched the Count with my dad last night. Really enjoyed it. It's getting a sequel too. Have you seen that one, Sergey?
Yeah, I did. It was all right.
I agree. Can't articulate. So we're starting hot takes now, are we? Dune Part 2 is barely 3 stars. Nothing but CGI and Paul Atreides screaming suddenly for no reason. It's just like that movie American Pie. Like it's just about a guy that just wants to have sex with a pie, you know? Marv hates that movie. Like he says American Pie, like he doesn't know why they made so many.
I think I've seen all of them. I just have no memory of it.
How is it Marv's Wi-Fi is acting up this much? Ace Plus, the same guy who did Lost to Make the Leftovers as well. Damon Lindelof, I think he did. He also made Watchmen, the 2019 TV show, which highly recommend that. It's only 9 episodes.
Still have to watch that.
Oh, it's excellent. It's funny too because watching it, you're like, oh, this probably came out like after George Floyd and everything, but it's like no, it came out. I think it was 6-7 months prior. So such a great show. Angela, any top tier Miyazaki is my favorite fantasy. I'd be happy just being house cleaning lady.
What'd you think of
sorry.
the Heron?
Sorry, this is for you. Joseph Guerrero says, yep, pyramid set. Kept in box 2 for Lost.
Cool.
Film Kid says he just follows you, Sergey.
Awesome.
And also, Joseph Guerrero says Borderlands is #1 movie of the year. So that's gonna be an interesting one to.
I'm skipping.
Altogether.
Yeah.
Ace Blitz. I can't believe Marv said Westworld is the worst season one of all time. Right? Oh yeah. Marv also said season 2 is like the greatest TV season of all time. Like, and he said that they should have ended it there because it was that good. And he said that he owns season 2 on 4K, but that the other seasons he only owns on DVD.
On
He says that he
Laserdisc.
wants to experience like all the rest on standard because it represents how standard they are, as opposed to season 2. He wants to experience it 4 times with how great it is.
I have one friend who like downgrades every movie onto VHS.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
I have no idea. He just loves VHS that much.
I mean, I can't even say I mean. I don't know. I like maybe something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it was shot on like 16 millimeter. But even then, like as a hardcore fan of that film, like I kind of like watching in HD. Andrew Lay loved The Irishman. Now that's the 3.5 hours that flew by for me. Yeah. Let's see. Film Kid. What's the movie that you watched way too early? And I'm not talking about because you didn't like it. I'm talking about way too inappropriate for me. It's probably American Psycho. Sergey, I'll let you take this first because I need to think about this honestly.
I got into movies pretty late, but I'd probably say Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, 'cause that was way too early for me to appreciate it.
Yeah, because you're probably what, 16, 17?
Somewhere around that. Like I saw it as soon as it came out, not in theaters, but I think it was on HBO or something. And yeah, just didn't really follow that movie. It was something that I was way too young to appreciate. Horror movies, didn't really watch too many horror movies when I was younger, so wasn't scarred by anything.
I wasn't allowed to like watch horror films growing up, so trying to think. It's tough. I don't really have any to be honest. Like there were plenty of films where I saw that I think too young to really appreciate, but in terms of like content wise, because I just grew up in such a not to say anything wrong with living conservatively, but because I live in such a conservative household, like I didn't really experience anything like that because I was like, it was like overprotected. Like I had clear play, so like would edit out stuff. But there was one film. I think I just turned 18, but I watched it with my parents, and it was like a huge mistake. And that was Breakfast at Tiffany's. That was a film that like watching that film with my parents, it was kind of like a even though it's tame by today's standards, like watching a film that's about those two lead characters, it was kind of awkward. But again, nothing really else that I can think of off the top of my head.
What about Blowout?
Blowout. Well, my parents haven't even seen it. Even my mom hasn't seen it, even though she almost had like a bit
Yeah,
part, not a bit part, but it's like an extra in that film. So if I was ever to be able to be an extra, I would take that opportunity. Andrew Lay says Dune 2 has the best jump scares this year. The number of scene transitions will literally make you go blind. Film kid, I will be the only 12-year-old who will say this. I grew up watching VHS. Oh, sorry. Did you grow up watching like VHS tapes?
yes, I did.
What were
Up
some
until,
of
up until like 2005, I still had VHSs.
really?
Yeah, and then it just became really difficult to buy anything.
That's fair. Yeah, we I want to say, believe it or not, as far behind as like my family often would be in terms of like uh technological advances. Believe it or not, like I think by the 2000s, I think we actually upgraded to DVDs. But I remember there were a couple like VHS tapes that I think I probably wore out. Like Prince of Egypt was one of them, and then 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That was one I watched a lot on VHS.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say True Lies.
True Lies. No, I've only seen True Lies once actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was just okay. I know I'm in the minority with that one.
It's a heavily
Um,
rewinded movie.
just where speaking of horror, when I was young, like teens, there was this series called Faces of Death, which was banned in countries, real life death, crazy stuff. That sounds almost like what Videodrome tackles, where it's like late night TV, where it's like there's certain programs that you come across where you're like, this is banned in other countries, but you just so happen to come across it. And it's like, I'll be curious already to hear your thoughts on Videodrome. I love that film, but I don't see you liking it. I hope that I'm wrong though. I hope that you do like it.
I like the packaging, so I hope I like it.
Oh, the packaging is incredible. Like the fact that it looks like a VHS. So good. And once you see the film, it's even more perfect because it does tie into the film itself.
What's the first horror film you ever seen, by the way?
Oh boy. Um, Probably this is gonna sound funny because it's tame by today's standards, but probably Abba and Costello meet Frankenstein. I would
Okay.
say. Yeah, like I know it's a horror comedy, but it's technically horror. What about you though?
I think mine was The Dentist from like I don't know. It wasn't scary, but I remember it being very squeamish because like people are being forced against their will and their teeth are being pulled out. I'm sure now I'd watch it and be like, this is silly.
But at the time watching, it's like, oh
Yeah, it
wow,
was a little
it's like
disturbing.
terrifying.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Ace Splits. Marv also said he thinks the Game of Thrones ending is the best ending of all time. I think he also said that what was it? I think he said The Wire. I think he said he didn't like The Wire, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he said The Sopranos was kind of overrated. There was another hot take he had too. Oh, he said House of the Dragon is better than Game of Thrones. Forgot about that one. Andrew Lay, sex was so to be in my Asian household growing up that my parents would traumatize my childhood with horrors before letting me peek at any raunchy content. Sorry you had to go through that, man. But I will say this: of all people, I get it. I understand. Um, because I was able to watch like stuff that had violence in it, not like R rated, but like PG-13 stuff. But then I wasn't allowed to watch anything like sexual based, like at all. But and horror films I wasn't allowed to watch at all. So when I became like 16 to 18, like around that age, I started dabbling in other genres such as horror, and I was like, oh, this is a really interesting genre, and you can do a lot with it. I can't articulate. I still got my VHS saved from boredom many times. Physical media for the win. I will take it. VHS over streaming. This is a good question. Sergey and I will have a good debate about this. Film Kid, do you have any steelbooks? And if you do, what's your favorite one? Mine is probably The Godfather Part 2. Sergey, what's your thoughts on this?
I don't like steelbooks, but I've kind of been forced to buy some because of sales and collector edition stuff.
Yeah.
I did buy the whole set of the Star Wars movies, the prequels and the originals on steelbook. They look really nice. I'm trying to think what like my favorite one is. Uh,
Stuff.
Rogue One also had a pretty cool steelbook. It was like a Best Buy exclusive.
RIP Best Buy.
I even had like a steelbook DVD of RoboCop. I thought that was pretty cool.
That does sound really cool. I mean, RoboCop in general, like I feel like would be pretty cool on that. I know Starship Troopers, which is like the same director. I'm thinking about picking that up on Steelbook.
Oh, how did I forget? Reservoir Dogs. That's a steelbook, and the slipcover.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
that's probably my
that is
favorite.
one of the
Yeah,
that is so that's not one of my favorite Tarantino films, but that is easily one of the best physical media releases. Like how when you slip off the case, it also slips off like the ear. Like that is just it is a stroke of
yeah.
genius.
That is my favorite Tarantino film, though.
That's fair. I mean, I do like Reservoir Dogs. Like, I gained a lot more appreciation for it on second viewing. I think for me, I think my favorite steelbook, it's between Lawrence of Arabia and The Limey. I think both are outstanding steelbooks.
Really, even with that terrible artwork on the one of them, what is it? Lawrence of Arabia.
I see. I don't mind the artwork that much. It's more so that I love the like the inside packaging. Like they have a lot of details of Lawrence of Arabia where I think it's cool how they they break it up into I think it's 3 discs. So I think the Blu-ray has the full movie, and then I think the 4K they broke it up into 2 parts. So or it could even be 4 discs. I forget off the top of my head.
Oh, I
I,
also had the Steelbook of Psycho. That was pretty good because it has the drain with the blood.
yeah, I
Mine's a
still
little
have
bit
it too.
different. Mine's a little bit different than yours, but yeah, because I think mine was like a region, like a UK import or something.
That's yeah. Honestly, yeah, I still have my Psycho Steelbook, even though I own the Alfred Hitchcock like 4K set that has Psycho. Joseph Guerrero is Videodrome like Clockwork Orange. No, no. It like yes, it tackles sexuality in a very unique way. But besides that, I guess the way I would pitch Videodrome is it's about violence, the tie between violence and media, as well as that feeling of being up late while at the same time channel surfing. So for a lot of viewers nowadays, they're probably not going to really be able to relate to it because most people don't channel surf now because most people don't have cable. But those that do, that's why it's so interesting because it's like when you're channel surfing, sometimes you just come across like random stuff and it's like, what is this? And that's what the film kind of tackles, where it's like it's about this guy that channel surfs and he comes across a channel that not spoiling anything, but it's a channel that it's very interesting to say the least. And as the film progresses, it blurs the line between what's real and what's not. And I'm not gonna lie, the point of the film isn't necessarily about like, oh, like by the end you can tell what's real and what's not. The point of it is being in the same mindset of the lead character of not being able to tell what's real and what's not. And I like it. I like it a lot. In fact, that film is what 2 of my friends, you know them, Sergey, Kevin and Austin. That's the film that they jokingly like coined the term like this is a Chad movie because it's dealing with like, you know, like violence, sexuality, tackling of media. It's just a lot of stuff that's up in my wheelhouse. Let me Videodrome right now. It's not free anywhere, but it is on Prime for $3.59. But you can also buy the physical media release on Criterion. This video is sponsored by Criterion now, guys.
But you don't have Criterion Channel.
No, I'm a hack in that regards. I'm a cheap hack. Film Kid, I gotta go, but have a great night. Have a good night, Film Kid.
Yep, later.
Now, the rest of my viewers, they are not going to be on the East Coast.
they're all in what, Indonesia?
Indonesia. I've gained some India viewership, which is really cool. They've given me a lot of recommendations. Like, I'm like, oh, wow. So, like, I'm kind of broadening my horizons even more.
You're giving them recommendations.
What?
You're giving them recommendations.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's true. Eastblad, so part of me wants to start collecting physical media. Oh yeah, dude, I'm gonna use this as my soapbox opportunity. Yeah, like honestly, it's a pretty big game changer. Like once you see the difference on physical media versus streaming, it's pretty incredible. I always use this as like an example. Your average movie that you watch on streaming is like I would say about 5-6 gigabytes, and that's including, by the way, like 4K. In regards to like if you're streaming on Netflix or HBO, but then when you own a physical media disc, a Blu-ray, I think it's like I want to say 35 gigabytes, which is a huge difference. But then 4K, it's even more. Like they oftentimes will use 100 gigabyte disc. And a lot of times a 4K disc doesn't even have bonus features because they want to have it where the disc is able to breathe, so to speak. So they'll have it where the disc is like, I think it's like 60 or 70 gigabytes. So that's a huge difference. And you can tell because it's a lot less compressed as opposed to streaming. So that's my soapbox tantrum for tonight, though.
Imagine
Definitely.
watching Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah, I can actually say I've never watched Lawrence Arabia on streaming. I watched the first time DVD, second time Blu-ray, third time 4K.
They didn't even fit the whole movie on one disc.
No, they can't. because it's so long. Like I wouldn't be surprised whenever Gone with the Wind gets a 4K release. I wouldn't be surprised if that was like 2 discs as well. Ice I heard Hannibal's insane on Blu-ray. Yeah, I own the Blu-ray set, and it's actually really cheap. I think I got it for like 20 I think 20 some bucks, which for 3 seasons, it's an incredible deal. And I love the front cover. It's just like Hannibal with like I think it's like a fork, and then you see like other items, and then it's like there's some items that you look and you're like, wait a minute, is this an animal or is this human? Which ties in very well with the actual TV show. Angela, it was the 50th anniversary of Godfather 2 recently. Love that film. Sergey and I were talking about that before the stream because we were talking about Francis Ford Coppola's new film, Megalopolis, as well as how I'm trying to watch all of his films. And I think, Sergey, you said that you might be trying to watch all of his films, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I'll make it before the movie comes out. It's still quite a bit. Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts too on Godfather Part 2, honestly. And 3. You watch 3 and 3. The third one's like your favorite in the trilogy. You never know though, because I heard that the other cut that they have, I forget what it's called, but there's another cut of Godfather Part 3, and I did hear that it is a lot better than the actual cut.
And did you see the New Saints of whatever? There was another one, right? It wasn't
The
Coppola.
Many Saints of
Yeah. What was that?
that was like a Sopranos
Oh,
prequel.
okay. Never mind.
Yeah, it was not good. I think like it was not good. It just for me, it just went to show that sometimes a TV director like is good in TV, just not necessarily film. Joseph Guerrero, Tarantino horror from Dusk Till Dawn is a classic favorite of mine. Oh, nice. I saw it for the first time last year and I enjoyed some of it, but there was other elements that I wasn't the biggest fan of. But I really admired the ambition of that movie. And also watching it was very interesting, like knowing how Tarantino is with his foot fetish. It was very interesting watching a certain scene with him and Selma Hayek. I was like, oh, okay. Have you seen it, Sergey? Like,
I have not. That's not. That's what, Robert Rodriguez?
yeah, because him and Tarantino are like best friends.
So Tarantino wrote it and Rodriguez directed.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that Rodriguez might have also wrote it, but like, yeah, you can tell like that scene with Selma Hayek. You can tell that he wrote that scene in particular. You're like, okay. Angel A, classic I first saw recently was Penn, a great American patriotic movie. I rewatched that recently as well. Actually, I thought that was solid. Didn't love it, but I thought it was solid. It was a good rewatch. I hadn't seen it since like early high school, but solid.
I still have to see that.
Oh yeah, and you'll be watching it because it won Best Picture.
Yeah. Are you seeing Reagan? I know that's coming out soon.
I want to. I was actually gonna reach out to probably my dad and see if he wanted to watch it, but I don't know if you'll like it though because it's they're really heavily advertising it towards like the like Christian audiences.
I thought you were going to say towards the Trump campaigns.
No, 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 no. Not to my knowledge, at least. But,
Not yet.
No, no. Actually, September we're getting a lot of like Christian films. We're getting the Reagan film. We're getting God's Not Dead.
Okay.
4? No, I think it's 5 actually.
5.
And then there's another one I found out recently that Alex Kendrick, who did a bunch of movies, he for Sherwood Pictures. I grew up watching like his movies, so I always watch his movies. What's it called? It came out I think this weekend. What's it called? Let me look it up real quick. It is called The Forge. So I'll try to watch it
When's Passion of the Christ 2 coming out again?
next year.
Okay.
Which reminds me, it was funny. When I went to the movies yesterday, I was, looking at the posters for upcoming movies, and I forget the name of the movie, but the movie that stars Mark Wahlberg that Mel Gibson directed, the poster doesn't say from director Mel Gibson, the
No, it doesn't.
award-winning director of Braveheart. It just says from the director of Braveheart, Hacksaw Ridge, and I'm like, oh wow, that's funny. Like they don't even say his name. They're just like, oh, it's from this director. So that way, it's like nobody can be like, wait a minute.
I'll
Oh,
see
yeah.
it.
A God's Not Dead 5, though, I think I'm going to have to try to sneak in to see that, though, because it's not included with A-list, and there is no shot I'm going to spend $15 to watch that. I don't care how
You you gonna
bad
see
it
that?
is.
You're gonna see that with your parents?
No, they haven't even seen those movies.
Why? That's up their alley.
I don't know, to be honest. Like, when the movie came out, they might have watched the first one, actually, but
They're
I
binging right
highly
now.
recommend. I always recommend to people, like, watch one of the like those kind of movies in a theater. It is like it's insane. Like, I'll never forget God's Not Dead 3. Like, there were actually people that were standing up, putting their hands in the air. And thankfully, this was back in the day when I used to be like in the top row. So thankfully, like, I didn't have to worry about like, oh, I can't like watch the movie. But like I was just like watching below. I'm like, people were acting like this is a church. Like, yeah, I understand this is like my church, but like, what is happening? And same with Unplanned. Like, people were like, yes, yes, like just talking to the screen. I'm like, this is interesting. So I don't know. Like, I would recommend seeing one of those kind of movies at least once in theaters, Sergey. It's an experience for sure.
I've seen Risen. That's good enough.
No. Risen's one of the better ones.
Exactly. Exactly.
Risen is actually a decent movie, I would say.
And Left for Dead. I saw that too.
Left 4 Dead. Did I see Left 4 Dead?
Left Behind. Sorry, Left Behind.
Oh yeah, I saw Left Behind. Oh man. Look at this. Ace Plus is watching Hannibal in October, part of your method viewing. So part of my method viewing with Hannibal is usually I cannot for the life of me, like, I consider myself to be a decent cook, but for the life of me, there's no shot that I would be able to emulate his style of cooking because it is so meticulous. But I do have some things that I'll eat that are like kind of similar to the items that he'll eat. Like, he in one episode he cooks up something like scrambled eggs and bacon, which I used to be able to do that, but now I can't because I'm allergic to eggs, as it turns out. But I'll still cook up like turkey bacon. But yeah, I also try to watch that show like at night because the way it's color graded, it's like if you were to watch it during the day, it's some scenes are going to be kind of hard to see. So I try to make sure it's late at night. I try to make sure I'm in the right mindset. But yeah, it's very hard to do method viewing for that though in Silence of the Lambs. Just we're excited to watch Trap. I heard good things. Since I'm like Shyamalan fan, he needs redemption. Sergey is a huge fan of Trap. He said that that's the best movie of the year. In fact, he said that it should win not only the Oscar for Best Picture this year, but he thinks that every Best Picture winner from the last 50 years should return their trophy and give it to Trap. So that way we can see that for the last 50 years, Trap's won Best Picture.
No.
And Sergey thinks that not only should Trap get a Steelbook, but he thinks that movie should run for president of the United States.
Oh gosh.
Movie, mind you. Movie.
That is the worst movie of the year for me. The Crow is better.
Really?
Yeah.
See, all jokes aside, Trap, I thought it was disappointing, but it's not even close for me for top 10 worst of the year. But to be fair, I've also seen like I've had to endure
worse.
a lot.
I go out of my way to not watch bad movies.
Yeah. I to be honest with you, there are some times where I'm like, I need to watch this just as a reminder on what a bad movie looks like. You need the reminder every now and then.
That's why I'll watch Madam Web at some point this year.
At some point, yeah. That's a very good reminder. Like, you watch Madam Web and you're like, oof. Let's see. Angela, the trailer for the new Reagan movie looks really bad. I haven't seen the trailer. Does it really? Sergey, have you seen the trailer?
No, I just see the ads online.
They had an early screening for Reagan like months ago. So let me see if I still have it. Not seeing it. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. But they had an early showing for it like a couple months ago. And at our AMC, they had a bunch of Reagan pens that are like ballpoint pens. So I was like, all right. So I just scooped up like 10 of them. So I have like Reagan pens like hanging around. So I'm like, I feel kind of obligated to watch this movie that got me a bunch of ballpoint pens.
Dennis Quaid looks the part, but I don't know how well the movie's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, I like Dennis Quaid. It's like I'll support him regardless. Can't articulate. I method viewed Strange Darling. Oh gosh. Certainly hope not. You'll see what we're talking about, Sergey, in 12 hours. Or no, 14 hours. I think because it's a 2 p.m. show that you're watching, right?
Yes.
Godzilla. I haven't even seen Trap, but it should win every Best Picture going forward. For real, I think that like, that's the bar for cinema. I think that
That's it. We're going out
every thriller needs to look at that movie. Like that too should be taught in film classes. And M. Night Shyamalan like should be praised as like a god figure almost because of that movie. Like we need to have Trap posters. There, like why wasn't there a Trap popcorn bucket? Like, I don't understand. Like Josh Hartnett should be winning the Oscar for the next couple of years, I would say as well. Just Guerrero. Well, I'll wait to watch at home then. LOL. No. I would still say, and I told Sergey this, I would still say watch Trap in theaters. The reason why I say this is because even though I was disappointed by the movie and Sergey hated the movie, it's still an original movie. It's IP-less, and it's also good counter programming to like something like Deadpool and Wolverine. So I would say still watch it 100%, even though I don't think it's the best movie in theaters.
The concert experience is, I guess, pretty good, but that's only like 30 minutes.
Can't articulate. Trap was 4.5 stars. Oh yeah, I forgot you love Trap. I mean, look, I've seen plenty of people praise the movie, and I 100% am happy for the people that loved it. I mean, I was one of those people that when Glass came out, I praised it. I was one of the few people to do so. So that's the thing. M. Night Shyamalan's directing, I feel like, is just so divisive now, but it gets people talking, and I do appreciate that. Oh, I love this. Ace Plus. Marv's top 3 movies are 1, Alien Romulus, 2, Madam Web, 3, The Lighthouse. This is pretty accurate. He did tell me off to the side, too, that he thinks that Alien Romulus, like, we should start a podcast, just call it like the Romulus podcast. And he said that he's a big Philadelphia Eagles fan. He said that they should actually change the name of their team to the Philadelphia Romulans. I told him I don't know how that would go over with Philadelphia. Like, I just, like, because, you know.
Did they change the mascot, too?
Yes, I think they should change to that 7'7", you know,
not the face.
Whatever that was. Could you imagine that? Just like you just see like the 7'7" like person just walking across, like, and you're like, what is happening? Like, but yeah, Marv also said The Lighthouse. Like I remember when we had Airbnb weekend last week, and I remember Marv said that he wanted to visit the Lighthouse. And I told him, I was like, Marv, it's not the lighthouse where they filmed it. And he's like, well, you know, it could be. So we went to several lighthouses. None of them were the ones that they shot it at. So he was kind of disappointed by that. Loves the movie. Angela, yeah, the new Reagan trailer looks like a Bosch TV movie to me. Oof, yikes. Yeah, it's tough because like there's certain films where I'm kind of interested in, but I also know that September is like the shift into Oscar season. So I'm like, there's certain movies I know in September where I'm like, okay, like I want to watch, but then it's like there's other films that aren't necessarily advertised that much, but come out, and then I'm like, oh, I actually kind of want to see that more though. Joker, like for example, Strange Darling. Like I was gonna see The Crow, but then when I saw Strange Darling was hitting, I was like, oh, cool.
Joker 2, right? September.
October 4th.
Oh, October. Okay.
5 years exactly since the original.
Can't believe it's been
So
5 years.
I know. My thoughts on that movie have changed a lot too. It's very interesting.
You didn't like the
I'm
trailer?
absolutely terrified for the sequel. I really am, to be
Oh, the
honest.
trailers don't look that bad.
It kind of looks very, very similar to the original. And
Yeah,
I think in some ways that it almost also looks like it might hamper the original.
but it's a
Because
musical.
if you look at the original as similar to like Taxi Driver, where it's like the line between what's real and what's not, that for me is a lot of the appeal of Joker. But if you strip that away and you pretty much confirm that some of the stuff that happened in Joker did happen, it takes away from it, I think. Like for example, oh, he is actually someone that caused, the final match to all these riots, and that he actually did kill someone on live TV, and that he did all this stuff. Then it's like, well, then you start looking back at the original, and you're like, okay, but like those elements don't make any sense in the slightest, especially on rewatch. But so for me, I'm hoping that those elements are still looked at as like, is it real? Is it not? As opposed to, yes, it's real. That's all. I'm again going with open mind because especially since we haven't seen a superhero musical before, so I'm hoping it's good. But I've seen Todd Phillips make a sequel, and yeah, Hangover Part Two. Anyone? Uh like you remember Hangover Part Two? Like everyone when that movie came out, everyone was like, it looks good, and then it came out, and it's like, oh, it's literally the same thing as the first one, except it's in what was it, Bangkok?
I don't even remember that movie.
Oh no, you put a gun to my head and said, Chad, what do you remember about that movie? I would be like, I think there was a monkey in it, like instead of a tiger. That's
I
about
don't
it.
remember. I don't remember part 2 or part 3.
Part three, I remember they tried to make it like more of a thriller, which we talked earlier about like trying to do something new in a franchise. But it's like if you try something too different, then you isolate a lot of the viewers, and that's what happened with part three. It was like they made a movie that wasn't even funny. Like it wasn't even trying to be funny. It was just straight up like, hey, here's a thriller. Um, oh, we have a bunch of comments. Can't articulate. I agree, Chad. Theaters should be extinct. In fact, I'm happy Longlegs was sent to streaming. Only a meme 1 month after its release. Yeah, I really don't understand that, like that window of time now, like how it's so small from like when a movie is in theaters, is taken out of theaters, and then put on streaming. It's like you're making it so that way people aren't going to want to go into the theater, which then takes away business for theaters, which then makes it so that way theaters are probably going to close, and then it's like, well, it takes away the I think part of the specialty of theaters, as opposed to when you're at home. It's like there's other distractions, whether it's your phone or, in my case, having a dog, or oh, I'm hungry, or stuff like that. Oh, here's one. Angela, have you seen the new trailer for the piano lesson as well? Denzel's son Malcolm is directing, starring John David, Sam Jackson, Daniel Weiler, and others. I have not, but I think I heard about that one. Sergey, did you watch the trailer for that?
I did not.
It sounds like it's going to be an Oscar contender, honestly, especially with that cast. Ace Bullets, Marv needs to get on here so we can talk about how much he loves the Lighthouse. Yeah, dude, I don't know what happened because um, yeah, like he stopped responding. Uh, yeah, I think he partied a little bit too hard.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, he did party a little too hard last week. Can't articulate Mir. Just rare for Marvel. Same amount of Web is even better than Deadpool, Wolverine. Crazy. I mean, look, Deadpool and Wolverine, like, I felt mixed about it, but I've seen there's a couple people I know that like really didn't like the movie, and like when I read the review, I'm like, not wrong. Like I don't think it necessarily works as a movie. I think it works more of like as an experience.
Pretty
And
much.
Sergey and I we saw it in theaters, and like I thought the experience was good. But if I were to watch that at home, I think my rating would have been a lot lower. And it's the same thing with Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
Because oh yeah, Sergey, didn't your rating went way down for No Way Home, right?
Yes, that's why I'm a little worried to watch the Deadpool 3 movie. Though, I have no interest in watching it other than the cameos were kinda cool. The humor worked for a number of times, but on a rewatch, that might not land, in which case the story just isn't there for that movie.
I actually felt as if our theater like literally busted a nut when Wolverine put his mask on. I was just like, oh, and for me, I'm like, there's a reason why they didn't have his mask until then. I was just like, oh gosh. And
I
I've seen
wouldn't
some.
mind it. I wouldn't have minded. I grew up with the animated series, so I was, used to seeing that, so
I think it
it's
works in
fine.
animation. I think it's the same thing with like Batman, where it's like animation, it works, but they don't do that in the real life adaptations of Batman because it's like it just comes off more as distracting than anything.
What
For
about the
me, at
one
least. Like
what about
I'm
that
saying that
one
as someone that likes animation.
what about the one accent from one of the characters? The Kiwi
I know who you're
accent.
talking about.
Yeah.
It was an interesting choice. It reminded me of his little bit in 22 Jump Street. My name is Jeff. Andrew Lay says people were hyping up Sam Jackson and Daniel Deadwyler to win their competitive Oscars for this. I mean, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people want Sam Jackson to win an Oscar because I think he's only been nominated once, and that was for Pulp Fiction. And it's funny because who he lost to, it was I forget his name. I think it was Belushi for Ed Wood. Like that's a film that not many people talk about. I love Ed Wood personally, but even though I love Ed Wood and even though I love his performance, I do think that there is the argument to be made that Sam Jackson should have won for that film. Although at the same time, Morgan Freeman for Shawshank Redemption was also that same year, so it was a competitive year. Just where, oh yeah, excited for Joker too. I like Gaga as an actress. Me too. Not the biggest fan of A Star Is Born, but I think she was incredible in that. And I think that's what, for me, that's what really solidified her as like someone to look out for also as an actress.
Not House of Gucci.
Well, yeah. Bootzilla, I can't get excited for Joker 2. I'm trying, but every time I see the trailer, I get more and more disinterested. Sergey, have you seen the trailer for Joker 2?
Yeah, they showed it in theaters, earlier in the week. It was alright. If I don't need to see it again. I feel like if I did rewatch it more and more, I would probably lose interest. It's kinda how I felt with The Quiet Place, the 3rd movie.
Oh
They
yeah,
over
yeah.
they s overplayed that so many times, and then the one time, they played it back to back in the theater. I'm like, "You've gotta be kidding me." So,
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain trailers where it's like if you see a lot of, sometimes it can just be like, hmm. But Joseph Guerrera, if you've ever watched American Horror Story, she did exceptional in her season. I only saw the first season of American Horror Story actually when I first started dating Nicolette, and I remember thinking it was okay. That's why we didn't really continue. And then when I saw there was like 10+ seasons, I was like, I'm out. Sergey, have you ever seen American Horror Story?
nah, I never had interest.
I think the most recent season, the one with Kim Kardashian, I think Nicola and I we both discussed how we might have interest watching it because I am kind of curious to see how Kim Kardashian is as an actress. But I don't know. I at the same time, like I know it's an anthology show, so then I'm like, okay, if I go from season 1 to then season whatever we at 15, I don't know. It's
Did
tough
you
when it comes to TV shows. It's tough to for me
did
to
you
be.
watch, did you see Guillermo del Toro's TV show? The
No,
Cabinet of something? Yeah.
no. I've only Del Toro. I've only really seen his films, and then some of the ones that he's produced, like The Orphanage, which I'd recommend. I think that's very underappreciated. Ace Splits. Also, I think it's pretty great. 6 Feet Under is your most viewed video on the channel now. Thanks, man. Yeah, to be honest with you though, I don't think it's gonna hold that like title for long because I released 2 months ago my top 10 4K UHDs of all time for myself, of course, and it's already my number two. So I think that that's going to be my number one pretty soon. And I'm very happy, honestly, for that because like those two videos I'm like really proud of, especially my top 10 4K because I went into that video when I made it. I knew that I'm like, look, there are going to be cinephiles out there that obsess over video and audio quality. So I'm like, I need to make sure that I sound really, really good in regards to how I'm going about this and make sure that there's no room for like error. And I think for the most part, I did a really, really good job. But there were like one or two things where it was like some people had issues with, like Blade Runner 2049. There were some people that were like, it's not reference quality. And I was like, I mean, that's your opinion. Like, you're entitled to that. But they're like, no, you don't understand. It's not reference quality. I was like, dude, like, you clicked on my video. Like, you know that this is like, for me, like in my top 10. Like, but besides that, I think there was one other person. No, I think it was just that person, actually. Come to think about it. He was like so obsessed about it. And he's like, it's not that hard to create a top 10 of reference quality. And I was like, okay, so what's yours? And then he just didn't say it. I was like, okay. If you get a chance, already, you should watch that. Like, read that comment section because it is actually hilarious. Like that little section of like that person that is just saying like how easy it is to create a top 10 list for 4Ks, and it's like it's really not. Like I was so nervous about that because I'm just like I own over 100 4Ks, and so it's like to pick 10 that I think are the best. Or I don't know. I've learned through that video you can never please everyone because there were some people that were like, why is it Pacific Rim on there? And I'm like,
because it's your video.
yeah, I'm like, my video? Like,
Gotta love the trolls.
I know. It's just like our top 10 Western films of all time. Like, I'm sure at some point, if it gets enough views, I'm sure at some point someone will say, well, I don't understand why this is on here, not this. And I'll be like,
where are the John Wayne movies at?
Yeah, where's John Wayne? Why isn't he on here? And I'm going to be like, explain.
I mean, Rio Bravo almost made my honorable mentions list, but that's about as close as I'm going to get.
There's so many movies, too. Like, it is very difficult to create a top 10 list and even like 5 honorable mentions, especially if you've seen so many. Like right now, I'm working on my top 10 movies that I want to own on 4K. Or no, let me backpedal. Top 10 movies that should be on 4K UHD that I want to see. And that's a list that's hard to come up with too, because it's like there were one or two that I was going to put on the list, but it's like, yeah, but I own that. So like I own it on Blu-ray. So it's like, should I really put this on there? Because I think that the Blu-ray is great. I'm not going to spoil anything on the video, but there's one, like I will say one, Dark City. Like I own it on Blu-ray and I think it looks great on Blu-ray. Yeah. But I also do kind of wonder like what that film would look like on 4K, especially with like HDR. So
I'm working on a video on just Blu-ray releases. Like, let's not get spoiled about 4K releases. We need movies that don't even have Blu-ray runs. So, and that would be like a 3-part video because there's just so many movies that need they have a DVD release and that's it. And some of them don't even have any streaming channels that are playing them. So,
yeah, and it's tough too because, like, if you go back to what was it 10 15 years ago, like physical media was something that your average Joe had, and so it was like one of those things that you could put as much movies out on physical media. But now I feel like it's a lot more selective because it's become more niche, unfortunately. So I think that's why we see so many movies that are on DVD as opposed to like Blu-ray and 4K, as well as some people just never upgraded. Like I know some people that still collect just DVDs. They don't, collect Blu-rays and 4Ks. And that's why when we go to Walmart, we see like such a huge DVD selection as opposed to Blu-rays and 4Ks.
It is cheaper.
It is. But it's like one of those things where once you see what a Blu-ray looks like as opposed to a DVD, it's like, oh wow.
Though I would probably own the Terminator 2 DVD over that 4K release.
The 4K release is intriguing to say the least. I do own that on 4K, and I will say that that movie's just kind of cursed in regards to physical media because all the releases have had issues. Like even the Blu-ray that I had before, it had its issues. It's very baffling. It really is.
I know. I could have sworn I don't know if it was real or not, but they said that Kristen Stewart was going to be in another Terminator movie.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it was like fake or not, but I'll
Interesting.
have to look into that.
East Flats, he might be rewatching Alien Romulus. Yeah, Marv said that he got AMC A-list just so he could rewatch, Alien Romulus.
All three of them per week, right?
Andrew Leigh lost him. When he lost Pulp Fiction, he has an honorary Oscar. Them. I did not know that. Actually, I actually kind of want to watch when what was his name, Belushi, when he won for Ed Wood. I kind of want to watch that now to see if I can see that, because that reminds me of when Crash won Best Picture, and Jack Nicholson literally said Crash, and then he literally was like, because he's just like, this one over Brokeback Mountain, Munich, good night and good luck. I do enjoy Crash, but I do not think that it's, I do not think it was the best film of 2005. I can't take American Horror Story is good, at least the seasons I've watched. Ace Plat's pretty excited to see when you review Sons of Anarchy on the channel. Why? So I can get torched? I guarantee it. I guarantee you that video is going to get like my most dislikes ever. Like I'm going to get like 5 likes, and it's going to be like 5,000 dislikes. It's going to be like the Robert Storm Parasite video. Have you ever seen that, Sergey? The Robert Storm Parasite video?
No.
Oh, it's just I have. Did you see my my Bong Joon-ho ranking list?
Yeah.
So I had a I had a little bit where I showed like his little rant that he went on when Parasite won Best Picture in that video that I did. It was basically this guy that freaked out about Parasite winning Best Picture over Joker, even though Joker like was a film that he loved, but Parasite was a film he didn't see. So he was freaking out about it. And he was like, "Yeah, Joker's more important. Like Joker like tackles like class, and it's like." Parasite does too, though. It's like, and it does it much more better. So it's like, you would know that if you've seen the movie. And then he was like calling the movie like, he called Parasite woke.
Oh my gosh.
Which I'm like, first of all, like this, you're literally getting your movie review license taken away from me right now, But
and then an argument.
Oh yeah, no. And he actually, it's funny because he made the video private, but then he made it public again. And there's actually a really good channel called Ben's Movie Reviews, and you can't really see the video now because again he made it private. But if you watch Ben's Movie Review channel, which I'll put the link in the comment section because I think that the video is hilarious, like with what he does. But yeah, Robert Storm, he's something. And I can say it because he doesn't watch my stuff, but he makes a lot of like I jokingly will sometimes make clickbaity stuff, but he like genuinely believes in it and everything. I'm just like, dude, like. Actually, I think Sergey, I've shown you some of Ben's movie channel. Ben's movie channel is pretty funny.
You might have.
He was the one. Remember that he did I show you the one where Chris Stuckman was like going through the cornfield?
Yeah, you did show me that one.
Yeah. It's the same. It's the same channel. Like he makes pretty funny videos. I think Ben's movie channel. Let me. Sorry, I'm just still going through it. I forgot that he's done a lot of videos recently. He just. I don't know. I think Ben's movie channel is quite underrated. I can't believe this was almost 5 years ago that when Parasite won Best Picture. Let's see. Sorry. I'm going to get demonetized now. Oh, here, I'm going to post this link now. All right. All right, everyone watch this at some point. It's pretty funny. All right, where was I in the comments? Wow, we're behind. Jessica Guerrero, first couple of seasons of American Horror Story were solid, but it did fall off. So that's just the case with a lot of shows that are that long. A-Split, that's great. Your Oz video is still in your top 3 most popular. I am very happy about that too, because I feel like that show doesn't get talked about enough, even though I like to make the argument that that TV show did even more than The Sopranos in regards to how much it influenced, because that show, like, it killed off characters left and right. I mean, Sopranos didn't really do that. So I don't know. I think Oz is great. It's funny though, seeing the comments for my Oz review, it's hilarious because like I'll see some comments that are like, "Oh my goodness, like I like the show, but there's just too much like gay sex," and I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "It's a show about like prison. Like you're gonna see a lot of gay sex. Like you're gonna see a lot of like that kind of stuff. Like what would you expect?" Just a Guerrero. I hope they don't bring back Signora Weaver. This actress is taking over the spot. It seems. Yeah, and plus Signora Weaver, she's got other stuff to do. Like she's gonna be in Avatar 3, which I'm excited about. Ace Plus, I feel like you're gonna enjoy later seasons of Sons of Anarchy more. I hope so. Because like Gemma is like so obsessed about family and saying like I did this for family, and then like to see season 5 like her just have what was that, a foursome? I was just like, oh yeah, this is very family friendly, right? This is I was just like, yeah, hypocrisy at its finest, and I can appreciate hypocrisy because like a lot of humans are actually hypocrites, so it makes sense. But like, to what extent am I able to say it? Like look at Gemma and say like I can understand where she's coming from to an extent. Like I don't. Like it seems like she is a character that is specifically written to cause trouble. And I know that there's people in real life that are like her, but not to this extent, I don't think. I don't know. I am still trying to grasp her. Like I don't know why so many people love her, but then Skylar White everyone hates. I don't understand it. I
Oh,
really don't.
is it like a Yellowstone kind of character?
Yes. It's
Okay,
a
you know what
character
I'm
that
talking about.
she goes around and she tells her son that he needs to become more of his own person, but then she constantly meddles in his affairs. Um, like he starts dating this one girl, and she goes to this lady's house, like where she live, not where lives, but where she works, and literally is like, "You see my son?" And she's like, "Yeah, he's an adult. He's like in his 30s." And she's like, "I just want to make sure you don't break his heart again." She's like, "Oh, you're talking about like 10 years ago?" She's like, "Yeah, but that's not part of the subject." And I'm like, what is happening right now? Like what are we doing? Like, and then she'll talk about like, again, family is so important, but then she'll get into like a physical altercation with someone that's supposed to be like her family. Um, she also just isn't very like what's the word I'm looking for? She's also just not really about trying to keep the peace. Like she is all about trying to upend everything. Like anytime there's a female that's in her presence, she's trying to pick a fight with her. So it's very baffling. It really is. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend Sons of Anarchy to anyone right now. But maybe that will change. I'm keeping an open mind. But yeah, it is very Yellowstone. Andrew Lay, I finally watched Children of Men this week. So good. Better than The Departed that year. Honestly. Sorry, Marty. Like, so good. It made me cry as someone who doesn't want kids. Yeah, I love both films. I think I have them pretty. I think they're relatively close in regards to like my top 100 films of all time. I love both. I think they're both great. What are your thoughts, Sergey? I know The Departed you think is just kind of solid, but you like Children of Men, right?
I did, but I think I might have just still enjoyed Departed more than Children of Men, but it's been such a long time, so I would need to rewatch it.
I think you would like it on rewatch even more. We got T Town 13 in the house. Saw Strange Darling and Blink twice. I'd like to hear your take on both and why you thought Strange Darling was as good as you did. With all that being said, Frank's hot sauce is still number one.
Blink Twice is a quote unquote woke movie.
Oh gosh. Oh, I really hate that criticism. It's not, I don't even think of it as a criticism because it's like it's aged like sour milk already. Like when you see that like clickbaity like movie's so woke, and I'm like, okay, not clicking.
People are comparing
So
people are comparing Blink Twice to was it the Olivia Wilde movie? Don't Worry, Darling, or something?
really, I
Yeah.
think it's like two totally different films though.
Yeah, so I don't get it. Actually, I never saw that movie, but
Don't worry, darling. I enjoyed. Don't blink. Not don't blink twice. Blink twice. I thought was good. I thought that the editing was very precise and really, got us into the mindset of like the lead character and those surrounding her. And I think that as a directorial debut, especially, it was just very impressive. Like I am looking forward to seeing what Zoe Kravitz is going to do next.
yes.
I think the ensemble cast was really good. I really enjoyed seeing Mr. Robot, aka Christian Slater, in it. I thought he was hilarious personally.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, I thought I was your best friend. I also loved Kyle MacLachlan, who plays Agent Cooper in Twin Peaks.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
watching
yeah,
right
yeah.
now. But it's just so interesting seeing him in like a different role where I'm like, oh, dude, I like you. But then you watch this and you're like, oh, wait, I don't like you. No, I think it's good. And in terms of hot sauce, I would say it's like a truffle rating. It's like a 4 out of 5. I like. Um,
It's one of my favorite thrillers this year. So
yes, and I think it's even if you see some of the twists coming, I think how they go about it is very fascinating. And I don't know, I thought it was a very interesting take on like the eat the rich mentality. Um, and I gave my hot sauce rating because I'm probably not going to review it on YouTube, but Strange Darling, I actually just finished filming my review for it. I'm going to try to release it either later on today or Monday. I loved it without spoiling anything. I think the 7 act structure, 6 chapters and an epilogue, I thought was a breath of fresh air. I thought the fact that the film was able to recontextualize a lot of things with each act is a balancing act in itself that so many films could only dream of being able to accomplish. I love the fact that it's shot on film. It really gave the film a fresh look, and just I don't know, put a smile on my face. I love the camera work. I love the camera movement. I think the lighting is really good. Fingers crossed on a 4K physical media release. I love the acting. That there's two main performances. Again, trying to be vague here. There's two main performances that I think are outstanding, like really, really good. And also, never mind. I was going to say one other thing, but Sergey hasn't seen it, and some of my other viewers probably haven't seen it. But I'll talk to you about it, Sergey, like later. There's like one thing in particular that I loved about it, but I can't spoil. I love the ending. I think that it really challenges viewers, and I'm all about films that challenge us. I love how the viewer, like us as viewers, are put into like a morally complex situation where a lot of the things that are happening on screen are just things that aren't really black and white, so to say. And I think that it's also just really interesting seeing like all this blood and gore, and it's like practical. Love the score. There's just like I said, there is a lot to like about this. It's more of like what I didn't like about it, and I don't know. There really isn't anything. There really isn't anything I didn't like about it. The only reason why it's not a 5 out of 5 is because for me nowadays, before giving a film a 5 out of 5, I usually try to give it a second viewing before like solidifying it. But I gave it a 4.75 out of 5. I think it's pretty much one of the best films I've seen all year. And as far as a horror film goes, I don't think it's going to be beat. But that's just me. So it's my rant for Strange Darling. See it in theaters, everyone. Please see it in theaters. Like it's like more films like this, please. Like this is Sergey, going back to what we were talking about earlier. This is a Chad film. Like this is a bona fide Chad film. Like so good. So good. Esplets. I don't even remember Gemma doing that season 5. Yeah, it's because it's like the opening scene. Like she wakes up, not she wakes up, but she has like yes, she had sex with like this dude and like these 2 women, and nothing wrong with that. mind you. But I just think that the fact that she's all about like family and she just hates the fact that um, Jax is with this like one nurse like early on and just is constantly like pointing fingers at everyone except herself. I just think the fact that she did that, it's like, Gemma, what are you doing here? Like, come on now. And I'd be okay with it if she was like a supporting character that we don't really see that much of, but she is such a huge part of the show. So it's like, what are we doing here? A-Splits, I couldn't stand Gemma, especially in season 7. One of the most annoying characters I've ever seen, up there with Skylar and Joffrey. Skylar, I'm not gonna lie, I do not think she's annoying. Like I know that, especially on the internet, that that's a hot take. I do not think she is annoying in the slightest. I think the first time I saw Breaking Bad, I thought that, but every viewing since then, I'm like, no, she is in the right. Like she pretty much doesn't do anything wrong except Ted. Without spoiling anything for those that haven't seen Breaking Bad, as soon as I say that word, you know what I'm talking about. With Ted, that was like two wrongs don't make a right, buddy. Why are you doing this, Skylar? But besides that, I don't have an issue. Joffrey, we all know how I feel about Joffrey. We all feel the same way about Joffrey. Not Skylar, Sergey. Do you like Skylar, or what are your thoughts on
I
her?
think her behavior is understandable. Like I didn't that it seemed pretty normal to me, even with the Ted character. I think that also kind of made sense a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
and
So
also
I didn't
like,
mind. I didn't think she was annoying. There's way too many more annoying characters in TV shows than her.
and especially like if you look at it from her point of view, like I'm on season 2, I think episode 3, and it's like she's pregnant. Her husband just got diagnosed with cancer, and he's sneaking around. There's a possibility that he has, having an
Yep.
affair because I'm at the part where she's just now realizing that he has a second cell phone, and it's like
Yeah.
usually that means that he's probably like someone's probably cheating. So it's like he's doing all this sneaky behavior, and she doesn't know, and he's not communicating. So it's like it's not really a good significant other in regards to like Walt, but it's like we're so focused on Walt and him wanting to succeed that it's like, yeah, but at what cost? Because
Yes.
everyone around him, and he is someone that he's doing it for family, but it's like you understand his perspective. Gemma, I don't really understand. I really don't.
I'd
I
say in Breaking Bad, what is it? Hank's wife is more annoying than Skylar.
Yeah, Marie. I do like Marie. Marie's funny. We got a little bit past the part where she shoplifted,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's so good though because it's like she's like, well, why did you return the item? And it's like because it's a tiara for a baby, like, and it's really expensive. Like it's literally like such a great show though. Oh, I love that show. East Plus, I really like Christian Slater. He might be the only reason I check out the Dexter prequel. Same, honestly. Andrew, I also rewatched Spielberg's West Side Story and The Fablemans to see how they marinate in my mind because I remember not liking either. I really like The Fablemans. West Side Story, I think, even though on second viewing my rating dropped a little bit, I do overall like it, but I do stand by my critiques in that it works when it's not focusing on the lead characters.
Hmm.
Um, the problem is the lead characters get a lot of screen time. So I don't know, like especially now knowing that one of the side characters in West Side Story is like one of the lead characters in Challengers, it's like kind of wish that we saw more of him in West Side Story. But sorry, I know you like Fableman's West Side Story. I feel like we're on the same page about, right?
Yeah, I mean, with Fablemans, I really liked, but I've had no urge to revisit it. Like I know Babylon, I already want to rewatch. Um, West Side Story, no interest. I didn't like the original. I thought the new one was a little bit better, but I still
Yeah,
have no interest because it's that same, Romeo and Juliet story with the undeveloped romance. Better film to watch is Do the Right Thing.
oh, the other thing's great. Yeah, we know you love the Romeo and Juliet story. Andrew Lay, love the Fablemans now, but I still can't put a finger on why I still don't like West Side Story. Great movie as a musical, though. Oh, the musical scenes are, yeah, really good. Um, I think Ariana DeBose was so good in that film, like really good. And I'm glad that she was in that film because I feel like because of that film, I feel like she got put on the radar of Warner Brothers, and then they cast her in Westworld season 4, and I thought she was good in that. I hope she get. I really do hope she gets more roles because she is really good. Angela, I guess because the dude just killed her brother, and she was like, "Yeah, I forgive you. Now let me get down on you, bro." He splits. I think she's a little bit annoying in the beginning, but by the end, I'm chill with her. Though, just as an audience, we root for Walter because he's the protagonist. Yeah, and I feel like also at the end of the day, like with what he's doing, it's much more fascinating witnessing things that most people are never going to get to experience, like all that money, all that power. Most people aren't going to get to experience that, as opposed to Skylar, like she's living in reality. She's living realistically, where it's like people struggling day to day, trying to make ends meet, and then at the same time, like trying to work things out. Versus Walt, it's like he's just like, I mean, I don't have that much time to live. So it's like, I want to do all this for my family, but kind of also want to maybe do things that I haven't done before. And thus began the journey of not Don Corleone, Michael Corleone. Michael Corleone, one of the best character arcs in movies, and then Walter White, one of the best character arcs in TV. He splits Breaking Bad as one of the most satisfying endings ever. I agree. Sorry, do you like the ending of Breaking Bad?
Oh yeah, of course. Great ending.
That definitely hit home, like the whole like neo-western vibe of that show.
Yeah. El Camino, no.
Wasn't needed. It just that left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
Like
That kind
5 years later, I'm like, I don't feel like watching it.
no, I wouldn't even consider it canon.
Especially because I feel like it's heavily implied that we know where Jesse's going. Like we know where he's driving off to. There's no.
Yeah, we don't need to be spoon-fed everything.
It's just like with like as much as I like Better Call Saul, like it's just like with that show. Like there are some things that I was like the cameos.
That was in the earlier seasons, right? The cameos.
Well, they also had a cameo, and I think it was the last season of Better Call Saul. They had a cameo of two characters from what's it called from Breaking Bad, and I just felt like seeing those two cameos just felt so distracting because they look clearly a lot older.
Yeah. The one security guard, right?
Um, not him necessarily.
Because he lost a lot of weight.
I just think that when it comes to making characters look younger, I think shooting digitally combined with using digital effects, it oftentimes just doesn't really work, I think. Versus like makeup, maybe shooting on film, which Breaking Bad was shot on film. I think it could have possibly worked, but even then, I just don't think it's necessary. I really don't. Like I loved I'm not Breaking Bad. I loved Better Call Saul's final season, but that element was something that was just kind of like I don't know. Ace Palette's El Camino was so silly. Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I like some of the filmmaking, but yeah. Angela, oh, the woke thing reminds me of The Woman King. I thought it was a terrible movie until I learned about the real history, and I was like, I'm not gonna argue anyone calling this woke. Yeah, I just think woke is like I just think the original meaning of it was something that was like very positive, but then like now it's been politicized to the point now where it's like it's being put onto every single thing, including art forms such as films. And I'm just like, you can use any other thing. Like if you think that a theme or message is maybe a little bit too much or like beats you over the head, just say the word heavy-handed. Film criticism has used that word for like decades and decades. If I were to say a movie's heavy-handed, it sounds much better than a movie is woke because it's such a broad term. Like, and you look that word up, and there's so many different meanings, and it's like, what are we doing here? And like nobody can really describe what the now word means as opposed to what it originally meant. So
Yeah, I wouldn't use it if I didn't like the movie, just to throw a word at it. Like I know Sound of Freedom was like one of those movies, which I personally didn't enjoy, and that was another movie that was heavily used on. So
Yeah.
like
Or
there's,
like,
there's
oh,
other things I could talk about why I don't like it, but woke is not going to be one of them.
no, it's the equivalent of what's the thing a lot of people are saying now, like DEI or DEA. It's like if all of a sudden, which I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden like you see certain people say like, oh yeah, this movie was DEI. It's like it almost sounds like Dead on Arrival. Like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we saying this? Like articulate. Like, like one of my subscribers, his name is literally can't articulate. Like some reviewers should articulate instead of just saying a clickbaity word like woke. So
Mhm.
stupid. That's why I did that video, like that 30-minute video, because I'm just like, I have a lot of things I want to talk about with, films, and I'm like, I want to figure out a way to talk about it without it sounding like clickbaity.
You could say what is it? The Fritz Lang's M is woke or Metropolis is woke. These are like 30s movies.
Gone with the Wind, anti-woke, or something stupid like that. Why can't movies be like they used to be, like Birth of a Nation?
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, I
More
sorry,
diversity.
I can't wait for you to see Birth of a Nation, like just to see your reaction.
It seems like it would be torture. It's like what, 4 hours or something?
It's like 3 hours.
And it's a silent film.
It's a silent film. There is a score. There's a score, and
There's a
it's
score.
not bad.
There's a lot of white people, though you can't tell.
No, there's actually a lot of black people, but it's very racist. Like, but it starts out where it's like watching it at first, I was like, oh, this really isn't that racist. Like, and then like the second and third act happened, and my jaw dropped. I was like, oh wow, because it was like the movie Birth of a Nation is trying to implement the idea of how black people have had way too much power for like a long time and how they're enslaving white people. And it's like,
Hmm.
what are we talking about here? Like, what? And then the KKK comes to save the day. And I'm like,
This is part of the 1001 movies to see before you die.
I think it is.
It is.
Unfortunately, I think
Yeah.
it is, unfortunately. Because the filmmaking actually is pretty good, which is kind of a shame. But yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah, that was
available on Disney Plus, right?
right next to Song of the South. East Bullets. I like Better Call Saul because it adds so much depth to Jimmy's character. I hated how old everyone looked in some of the cameos, though. Yeah, I think it does. I think that, and then the fact that Better Call Saul is a prequel, yet it's very, digital. Again, nothing wrong with shooting digital. I think that it can be beneficial, but I think in the case of that universe, I think shooting on film would be like awesome because it would tie in even better with like Breaking Bad, and also like Vince Gilligan at that point had so much clout because of the success of Breaking Bad. So it's like I know that he probably could have shot it, but it's easier. Next comment. Hey, Julie, another Viola Davis movie I saw recently that was really good was Widows. Great Steve McQueen film. Watched it during the DNC because of the Chicago setting. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the DNC because I today I watched the I finally had time. I watched the RNC and then I also watched the DNC, and it was yeah, a big difference. Big difference. That's all I'm gonna say. Widows, yes, Widows I loved. It was one of my favorite films of 2018. Great film. Did you see Widows?
Yes, and I did not like it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a shame. Yeah, I love that film. I really do. Like that was a film that I saw in theaters and I saw a couple times on like 4K. So good. I love the long take where Colin Farrell gets in the car and it's like attached to the car, and it's like as the car is going, we hear him talking, but we also see like how over the course of the drive we see how it goes from like the nice part of Chicago to then like the bad part in like one long take. I'm like, it's so good. Like stuff like that really elevated it. I also love the twist in that. I thought that was really handled well. I love the score. Hans Zimmer's score was like definitely giving me some like Mystic River vibes, but yeah, I liked it. East Plus. Remember when we had that weird guy in the chat that was racist? Oh yeah, I do remember that guy. Yeah, he was something. Just the questions that he was like asking, I was like let me pull up. Let me see. I forget his name. I'm pretty sure he's not following me anymore. I would be shocked actually if he's still following me because he did not seem to be open to ideas. Where is that? I think it was like June, July. Let me see. Warren Cornwallis, that was his name. Yeah, late June. He was saying like how Hollywood is against white men, which is hilarious because most of Hollywood is white men. And then he was saying Disney's CEO was called on tape that they wouldn't cast white men. And that Hollywood is promoting interracial love stories to brainwash white girls. Like stuff like this that's like clearly conspiracy theories that have no base at all in reality. He also said today's Hollywood filmmakers are against white men, which again isn't true at all because if you look at blockbusters, like most of them have, guess what, white men in them.
I wonder if it's the same guy who commented on my what's it called, Blink Twice video. Because
Oh, you got a comment on it? Or what did
yeah,
what
they said it's another white man bad movie, hard pass, whatever that means.
That's what I love about like certain comments where it's like they just don't articulate, and it's like, dude, what are you saying? Like, is this your first day on Earth? Like, just say a couple sentences, like at least, like this is an echo chamber. Like, white
There's
men are
no,
bad. Like,
I didn't even bother reacting to that. This is like, there's no changing this person's mind. It's clearly a closed-minded individual.
oh yeah, well at that point I just mess with them. I love doing that. I'm so good at that, to be honest with you. Like, not to Donald Trump myself, be like, I'm the best. Not the best, but I think that I'm really good at that because it's like I'll critique them if they're like critiquing me. Like, for example, I forget what someone said one time, but they said it in a way where it was like a lot of the words that they said just were not spelled at all. And I was like, and I just would literally just spell check them, and I'm just like, dude, like if you're gonna come at me, at least have valid critiques and also at least be able to spell. Like, please, it's really not that hard. Like some of the words were like, like a 4 or 5 letter word. It's like, dude, like spell check. We literally all have spell check on our phones. But yeah, I still need to watch your Blink Twice review. It's cool that you've been posting more videos lately.
Yeah.
Feeling inspired. I like it. The road to 1,000 subscribers is coming upon us. Or coming upon you.
Yes, it is.
That'll be great too, because then when we do collaborations, I can actually tag you. Right now, I can't because apparently it's only if you're at 1,000 subscribers. So it's weird. Like, okay, whatever. A-Splits, I saw something so dumb the other day. Someone said that they would never check out 6 Feet Under because one of the main characters is gay. Yeah, to be honest with you, I got a couple comments on my video about that, like with 6 Feet Under, and I'm like, you do understand how not only close-minded you sound, but like you also understand this TV show is like 20 plus years old. So it's like I don't know. Like it's just so baffling how people like to rewrite history. It's like,
You imagine not watching a movie because of that? There's like nowadays it's like every other movie has a gay character.
well, and that's why some people are like, "Oh, I miss the good old days," and it's like the good old days also had those type of characters. They just had to, because of like the Hays Code, they just had to be more discreet about it. But there were plenty of movies. Like, for example, one of my favorite noirs, the movie Laura. There's a gay character, like, and it was more like it was one of those things where it was slightly obvious in its time, but it's like you rewatch and it's like, okay, yeah. Or something like Sunset Boulevard, where it's like, depicting a man and a woman where it's like there's such a huge age gap. Like that was something that was also like something that they just had to be discreet about because of the Hays
Yeah.
Code. But it's just one of those things where now that there's less censorship in America, at least with
Yeah.
that, it's I don't know. It's
Dog Day
good.
Afternoon was another one, right?
Which one?
Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah, that one was pretty progressive for its time. But it also was based on a true story, so it was like, you know, like with that, it was like, especially like, what are we supposed to do? Just pretend like, like it was such a huge plot point, like in the real life things. So it's like, what are we gonna do? Like, just be like, oh no, he just wanted to rob a bank. Then it's like, okay, he just robbed a bank. Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I I have some kind of understanding because I used to be one of those closed-minded viewers where it was like I would look at things through my own closed-minded morals like a decade or so ago. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like the more movies you watch, I think the way it's supposed to work is that the more movies you watch, the more open-minded you are, and the more that you see that there's many different viewpoints in life. That's how it
Hey,
should work, though, I think.
just wait, we're gonna have the transgender movies too. We already have one this year, Femme, which is actually a pretty good movie.
I liked that one.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that too because I think that when we start to get movies about individuals that are transgender, I think that it will open up a lot of eyes for a lot of people where it's like at least those that actually have empathy or open minded. Because for me, I know about the topic, I like to an extent, but it's like I know that actually hearing from someone that's transgender, I think that that's going to be something that will be very interesting. So I am excited for that. But I do think also that it is also going to bring about a lot of interesting discussion about the Oscars because right now it's best actress, best actor, so that's going to open up
Yeah.
a
It's like
lot
the
of
Olympics. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely very interesting like times to live in. So I'm very fascinated by it, honestly. Andrew Lay, I also watched the Insecurities recently during the DNC for Gags. Terrible movie, but Matt Damon and Casey Affleck were so fun. Yeah, I wanted to see that movie, but it's on Apple TV Plus, so I was like,
Dang,
can't
Apple
watch it.
TV Plus.
Yeah, it's just
So
like
much
Killer's
for
Cut.
physical media, they don't release anything either.
Yeah, no, we don't even have Killers of the Flower Moon on 4K,
That's
like physical
ridiculous.
media. Ace Paulette's David and Keith are such fantastic characters, such a silly criticism. Agreed. I also think it's funny because in 6 Feet Under, there's a scene. I think it's the first episode or second episode of the show where David and Keith in 6 Feet Under are actually watching Oz, which is a show where there's a lot of gay characters and there's also a lot of like you know stuff like that in the show. And that show came out, I think it was late '90s. So it's like it's one of those things where people only remember what they want to remember, and for some people it's even like less. I don't know, like as a 17, 18-year-old criticizing that when I was that age, like over a decade ago, it was one of those things where I didn't really know any better because I didn't get to experience like any of those films. But as I've gotten older and I've started experiencing a lot of films, I'm like, oh wait, like this stuff has always been around. It's just
Did
people
people
have
critique
remember.
was it The Last of Us when they had that one episode with the gay characters?
Oh yeah, and it ended up being the best episode in my
Yeah.
opinion of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of like backlash, and I'm like, I didn't watch, or I shouldn't say watch. I didn't play the video games, but I heard that was something that happened though in the video game. So it's like, what are we doing here, guys? Like why is that such a big deal?
I think it was the second video game, and a lot of people didn't like the game either.
I
But it was
thankfully
more of a
played.
lesbian romance, I think, there.
Oh, really? See,
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't know anything about like The Last of Us 2 because I have heard about the divisiveness of the second one, but I don't know why it's divisive. So I'm kind of curious about what it's gonna do. Andrew, at least Spielberg updated West Side Story 2 to actually cast a trans person and Latino actors instead of white people wearing brown faces. Yes, that was a choice, and that was the thing too. Like back in the day, that's how they did it. I mean, like as much as I love Lawrence of Arabia, like they did that in Lawrence of Arabia too, and it is something that kind of sticks out now. So it is nice that they're actually casting people of that descent, where it's like this is something that we're finally fixing. So I agree with you.
Do you dock
Um,
a movie of its time for that?
Depends. It really honestly depends on like how much I'm liking the movie. Like for example, David Lean did a movie. I forget the name of it now. Oh, Passage to India. So Passage to India and Lawrence of Arabia both are directed by David Lean. I didn't really dock any points for Lawrence of Arabia for Alec Guinness being in brownface because it was one of those things where watching it, I completely forgot that it was Alec Guinness, and I only really know that it's him like a brownface because of like years later of realizing like, oh, that's him. Now we go to Passage to India. It is so obvious. It is so front and center that he is playing someone that is of Indian descent because not only of this accent that he's doing, but also just the look. And it's one of those things that because he's the center of attention, it just really sticks out. So in that regard, I take points off because it's just so distracting. But in the case of Lawrence of Arabia, a lot of his scenes just he's either in the background or it's not bringing attention to it, if that makes sense. So it depends. It's a case by case study, honestly. Anthony A. Perez is in the chat. Good to see you live again, brother. Anthony, I hope you're doing well, man. Hopefully, we'll have you on a live stream soon. I know you're just getting situated again from your honeymoon. Congrats again. Also, Anthony, I want to hear your thoughts on the Acolyte being canceled. I'm very curious because I know you liked that show, and I haven't seen the Acolyte yet, but I still might watch it. Not sure though. Ace Splat's very big fan of the games. It's him that Bill's gay in the first one, but you never see anything. See, that's the big thing. Like some people just don't understand that film and TV shows are a visual medium. So it's like it's one of those things where they probably in the game they probably didn't pick up on the fact that there's hinting to it. So the fact that they actually visually see it, it's probably like, oh my goodness, my sensitive eyes. Oh gosh. I can't wait for like 20 years from now. People be like, really? You thought like this was like controversial? Actually, who am I kidding? 2 years later, I'm like, why was this controversial? Like in this episode, East Plus is probably going to be some people mad when the second season comes out because Ellie is with a woman through the entire thing. Oh, that right there was probably why Last of Us 2 was controversial. That's so stupid that's why people are angry. Really? Oh my goodness, Ellie's so delicate. Oh, see, this is why when it comes to like mainstream movies and TV shows, it's like it really is a chore to get through like the discourse because it's like there's so many people where it's like, guys, what do you like? Why like this is what you're criticizing? Like, just so many people that aren't actually looking at the filmmaking; they're just looking at like what they want it to be as opposed to what it is. So it's like, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Sergey, on this?
I really just don't even look at that. I watch the shows because I want to watch it. I don't really consider these thoughts as criticism for, you know, why a show might be bad or not.
Right.
I have my own like opinions on the show. I'm going in open minded to see what I take out of it, not what someone else has to say about it. And definitely interesting to hear people's takes on it, but it's not something that takes away from me wanting to see the show anyway.
Right. And I think this kind of thing, like people getting angry at and people, 1 star bombing on like IMDb, like this kind of stuff, it's like this is what it's coming to in regards to media literacy. It's like, really? Ace Blitz. I actually think the second Last of Us is one of the most immersive games of all time. Oh, I like the sound of that.
Never played the second one actually. Not for
I
those
haven't.
reasons.
I'm
Not
not
for those
much.
reasons.
Yeah, I'm not a gamer, so it's like I haven't played either of them. But I know.
I don't have time for it, but yeah, I probably would play it.
Oh, I know both are considered like some of the best video games of all time. Specifically, the first one I know. Ace Splits, the soundtrack is amazing. It's visually stunning. The combat is very realistic, and the story is great. Let's see. Anthony Perez, let me know about a stream. I'm down, dude. Awesome. Yeah. Maybe I'm trying to think. Oh, I didn't realize. I didn't tell everyone. I'm probably gonna be down the shore next week, so probably no live stream next week. But
It has been done.
maybe the week after. Maybe the week after is gonna be tough though, because I know we'll be filming like your short film, so I don't know if either of us will be up for it. Depending on how it goes,
It's
of
supposed to
course.
be in the morning though, so it's like, well, we'll see.
Oh, true, true. Ace Splits, without spoiling, the reason people hate the game is because one of the main characters dies an hour into it. Oh, that sounds awesome. Heck yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot
And
that
it
there's
was
like this
fun.
weird thing where people don't like subverting of expectations. Boo hoo.
I already know which one it is.
I don't, thankfully, but so like
I think the first season hints at it actually, but I don't know.
I don't want anyone spoiling it, but if I had to guess, I would say Joel. Again, nobody spoil anything. If I had to guess, I would say Joel because I remember when Logan came out. I think there was a video about like how The Last of Us, Children of Men, and Logan are similar, and Logan, without spoiling anything, we know how Logan ends. Well, until Deadpool, Wolverine that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going with an open mind. I hope The Last of Us season 2 is good. Anthony Perez, as for the Acolyte, I'm bummed about the news. It's probably my least favorite Star Wars show, live action animated, but I still enjoyed a lot about it. The story needed to work, but it featured some of the best lightsaber combat in the Disney era and teased huge things for the next season. I think, of course, correction should have been the move. Breaks my heart. It was canceled. Yeah, to be honest with you, I read certain things that are in it, and it seems like one of those shows that would anger a lot of people that love the Jedi's. But for myself, I don't love the Jedi's. Like as someone that came out of a cult, like the Jedi's remind me a lot of a cult.
But
So it's like
you're fascinated by that stuff though.
I'm fascinated by it, but I also don't love the glamorization of it. And I feel like with Star Wars, like there's a lot of glamorized of like, oh my goodness, these men with like swords, like it's like a lot like samurais. Like I love samurais and I love those kind of genres that critique it, which is why I know it's a hot take, but that's why something like The Last Jedi I actually enjoy because it's critiquing and saying like, well, maybe the Jedi's aren't the best. Maybe they actually do have a lot of skeletons in their closet. And I heard that the Acolyte kind of tackles that, and when I can definitely see that that would be something that would anger a lot of Star Wars fans. But for me, based on my interest of Star Wars, like it sounds like something I would be more interested in. But that being said, I heard that again, from what I understand, the production value isn't the best in the Acolyte, which I've heard is also kind of frustrating because it's such an expensive show. So I don't know. I'm very fascinated by it. Like maybe I'll watch it, but I don't know.
I'm so far behind the Star Wars shows that I've just like given
Kind
up
of
hope.
giving up.
Given up hope.
Giving up hope. Yeah, because you didn't even finish Andor, right?
No, I did not. And I didn't even finish what is it? The Kenobi series. I had like one episode left and I was like, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah, I mean Obi-Wan Kenobi I felt kind of mixed about. Andor I liked. I liked Andor quite a bit because going back to what I was saying about the Jedi, like it's kind of on the same wavelength where Andor is like, you know, critiquing pretty much the galaxy, but at the same time, like expanding the world even more. Um,
Then
I liked it.
there was the Ahsoka show. I didn't see that either.
I didn't
Uh,
see that either.
the Clone Wars, I really liked the original, but then they continued that and I never got back to it. So that might be something I would continue.
The animated one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably not gonna continue that. I started that like years ago, but it's really not my style.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very episodic.
not even just that, but like at the end, like Yoda would be like, "Here's the lesson of the day." I'm like, "Oh my
I
gosh!" Like,
enjoy it because
all
it
right, let me get my
expands.
bib. Let me get my bib, and let me get my spoon so I can be spoon fed. Like,
Well, I mean, I like it because it expands on the Clone Wars, which was barely covered in the the prequel trilogy. That's my only reason.
and I think though, for me, as someone that like now that I'm like older, I'm just not really that interested in like the sword play of like Star Wars. I'm more interested in like the politics, and like
That was a
the
big
interact.
complaint of the prequels, though, the
What?
politics.
That's why I wish that I liked the prequels because I do like the ideas that they're tackling. The fact that there is like someone in the Senate that is like puppeteering like you know the Force, and then pretty much having the Jedi's be blind and everything. But I think in execution, like they somehow made like politics is something that it's all about the dialogue. Like you need to have strong dialogue. If you don't, it's really going to drag things down. And I think that Lucas's writing of the dialogue was just so dry that it made something so potentially interesting, so monotonous, I think. So again, I like maybe it gets remade. Maybe if there's a petition out there, maybe that gets signed. There's always those petitions for Star Wars, I feel like. But yeah, I do like discussing Star Wars because it is very fascinating, especially when you hear so many different viewpoints on like that franchise. Ace Paulette's one of the actors accidentally spoiled on Twitter. Thankfully, right now I have Twitter, but I don't have it on my phone really. So I haven't really been on Twitter because there were a couple times where I would accidentally spoil something because someone would share something. Anthony Press, first Star Wars should not have a conclusion. Some have been left with open endings, with the story continuing another, but never flat out canceled. Yeah, that is a shame because I'm sure that there are some individuals that like really likes the Acolyte. I know that Rotten Tomatoes would say otherwise, but I'm sure that there are some people that actually genuinely liked it. Can't articulate, didn't like The Last of Us 2. Some things don't work in video games, but good on other forms of media. Disappointing game that I waited 7 years to play. I predict it will work on TV though. That's good to know. And I do agree. Some things work better in certain, media, and then just won't translate that well to others.
There's gonna be a new TV show from the Love, Death, and Robots that's gonna be doing like little game adaptations. So there's gonna be
Oh,
like a God
really?
of War adaptation, and then maybe some of these other popular video games.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, maybe even Halo, even though they had their own show, which didn't do too well.
Yeah, that really didn't do that well. Anthony Perez, they have big ideas that weren't executed properly. For instance, one character who does something bad in the past has several episodes in a row where he's going to fess up to what he did. Uh, that is a shame because I love big ideas. Like that's one of those things where I love ideas. Like I remember in high school I took like a test to get like an idea on like where I stand in regards to like the future after high school. And like one of the things that it said was that with my personality, like I am fascinated by like concepts. And like to this day, I'm like, yeah, that is true because sometimes something will be like a big, high concept idea, and it's like I will really like it, and I'll really hope that it's executed well, which is why Sergey and I were talking about Halloween Ends before this, and like that's something that to this day I wish that I liked because I love the concept of that movie. I love it, but the execution is just so bafflingly like, huh? And it sounds like based on what you're saying, Anthony, with the big ideas weren't being executed properly. It sounds like the Acolyte's almost like that. Ace Splits. I liked the voice actors in the game way better. Ashley Johnson as Ellie and Troy Baker as Joel is a lot better than Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, in my opinion. I cannot say. Anthony A. Perez, only for him to be distracted, interrupted each time. A lot of random writing stuff like that held it back. That sounds a lot like Star Wars 9, where it's like Finn's like, I have something important to tell you. I have something important to tell you. And it's like, that you love her? Like, what is it? And then it's like, it just is dropped. Like, we never find out what he wants to tell her. That's also another reason people hate the second one. The character who dies, the person who kills them, you have to play for 12 hours straight. Oh, I love that. That sounds awesome, honestly. Like, because I feel like it makes you like feel conflicted, where it's like, okay, we're looking at it from this viewpoint of this person that killed. Why did they do it? Like, why would they do that? I'm like that. Huh, that sounds interesting. But like I said earlier, like these sound like interesting ideas. So it's like I'm hoping I like The Last of Us season 2, because it sounds like on paper this is something I should like. Anthony Perez, the Clone Wars and Rebels are top tier Star Wars, though the first season of the Clone Wars is a lot more for a younger audience. The writing matures heavily in the next few seasons. I did hear
Yeah,
that,
yeah, I would
and
agree with that.
you would too.
Yeah.
And I will say,
The movie was like what introduces the show, and I didn't like the movie, but I think the show
oh, I
does.
didn't either.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that movie. Oh. Yeah, and I will say, to be fair, I only saw like I think the first season of Clone Wars, so I guess it's not
Yeah.
really fair to say.
Yeah, and plus you have to wait a while till you get to like the Darth Maul chapters, which is one of my favorite characters in the prequels. So you think you have to wait like 3 or 4 seasons, if not longer. So
Best part about Phantom
that's
Menace, right there.
different. Yeah, and you know I cosplayed as him, so I really
Yes.
like the character quite a bit. So
Well, and I like how he's not in it that much. So then when he is in it, it's more impactful. Like if he was in it for like half the movie, I feel like it'd be less scary as opposed to like, hey, he's in it for 5 minutes. So it's like when he's on screen, he makes up for it.
yeah, because he survives, after the Phantom Menace, so it makes it interesting where he goes after that.
Oh gosh, he does in the animated show.
Yeah, I mean, because the animated shows after the Phantom Menace, it's the Clone Wars.
Oh gosh, I thought that was just Solo. I was hoping that was just like a bad fluke. So that's something that's actually canon in Star
Yeah,
Wars.
it
That
is. Yeah.
he got cut in half though, didn't he?
Yes.
So what does he have, like regrowing powers? Like,
No, he's like robotic.
oh,
Yeah.
do I have to read like book number 10, issue
No,
5 to find
no,
out?
no, we
Oh,
don't.
oh. Oh gosh. Anthony Perez, a lot of politics and on TCW, and Ahsoka is a sequel series to the events of Rebels, which also plays off TCW. Even the Mandalorian is tied to animated stuff heavily. So pretty much someone like myself, if I'm watching it, it's like I'm out of like the loop where I'm like, I needed to watch
No, you don't.
episode 10, season 2 of it. See, this is why I say I'm a casual fan, because it's like I try to watch some of the TV shows and I've watched all the movies, but I haven't read any of the books. I haven't watched any of the animated series, other than a little bit of season 1 of the Clone Wars. Splits. I heard they're making a lot of action with Red Dead Redemption. I hope it's great, considering it's my favorite game of all time. I've heard a lot of people say that that's their favorite game. Sergey, have you played that game?
Which one of them? Redemption? No, I never actually got a chance.
I think it's a Western game, if I'm not
It
mistaken.
is. It is. There's 2 of them.
Oh, there's a second one.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to see what that would be like. Especially because, I mean, I feel like if that came out, that'd be reintroducing almost to audiences like the Western genre.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
all about.
it is considered to be one of the best games of all time. So
I hope it happens then. I can't articulate. I hope Red Dead Redemption adaptation is as good as the game. I'm excited now. Anthony A. Perez, Darth Maul's return has to be one of the best returns of a dead character in anything. Sure, he shouldn't be alive, but they utilize it 100%. Top tier character work with Sam Witwer's voice. I mean, hey, if he's utilized very well, then like I can accept that.
that was one of my draws to watch the show, honestly.
Oh, Darth Maul?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's fair.
Except I had to wait a while till we get there, but everything up until then was pretty good too. Like the clone troopers, like they do develop them a little bit more, so they're pretty interesting. They're not just clones.
Anthony Perez, Red Dead is some of the best video game storytelling. The second one is wildly cinematic. In this case, I do hope it gets either a movie or a TV show adaptation. I would say preferably TV show adaptation because it seems like video games fare a lot better in regards to like long form storytelling, such as like on like HBO. Ace Splats, the second is considered better than the first Red. Arthur Morgan is one of the best redemption arcs. Can articulate says, see you all. Yeah, I was gonna say I think we'll wrap up the stream because it's 1:30 a.m. where we're at, Sergey. So I will wrap things up, guys. But I'm gonna try to have it where we potentially do a live stream in 2 weeks. Because like I said, next week's gonna be Labor Day weekend. I'm gonna be down the shore, so I probably won't be able to do a live stream. But 2 weeks, hopefully we'll do that. A live stream.
Marv might be alive by then.
Yeah, Marv might be alive. Gosh, I can't wait for him to rewatch the live stream where I'm saying Lighthouse is one of his favorite movies and Alien Romulus. But all right, guys, it was good seeing y'all, and hope you guys have a good night.